Ring wearing, kiss stealing, woo, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. Check, we Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. It's apparent these girls staring. I'm Rick flaring, gold across my chest. I'm fresh to death, I'm Paul Bearing, not at all scary. When I open like Betty Wops, then find to these circles that's going in like a carry shot. Woo! I'm going in like a Mary Pop off that Mary Crop at the top flow at the Marriott. So questioning me is like questioning you. See, we the best dressed, so come and get blessed with the crew. Not one but two, different ways to slaughter your crew. Committed tat across the chest, I guess she blessed with the truth. People want to see them checks, representation of proof. Living through my elders, trying to resonate to the youth. But ain't nothing to get my flash on. Longevity is heavily embedded in my melanin. Layman terms, I last long. My grind repetitive, I'm smoother than real silk. Lyrical cash cow who can't cry over spilled milk. We in here. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. This ain't no normal situation, this preparation with greatness. Industry full of fakeness, it's really up for the taking. See, life is what happened to you, more so how you take it. Don't get stripped of your knowledge and mentally leave you naked. I like to live otherwise. I'm sorry that I'm fresh to death. I put the polo and apologize. See, black son, we ain't nothing like the mother guys. Quit to socialize, we organize, then we mobilize. Off the deep end like a scuba diver. And no confusion, just keep it pushing like Uber drivers. Woo! Business fresh just like a supervisor in a Gucci visor. Can't find a smoother rhymer. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us.
Yeah, DQ baby. Shout out that boy Nigga for that fire track. Hey, Black Sun, sun up. What's up, Vinny Vegas? What in Vegas? Yeah. Shout out Pharaoh's Kids, D-Phase. Yeah. Bubba C. Yeah. Rick flaring on him. Rick flaring on him. Rick flaring on him. Rick flaring, sun up, baby.
Hey, Roundtable Season 2. Scotty and Blue. Backpack coming through. Let's square it away. Ain't nothing like the round table. I pay you if able to find better on cable. They made you appreciate Scotty and Blue. Football media, walking encyclopedia. Scott understand the Blue got the stats handy. Football the topic around it, they ain't dancing. Stat sheet longer than Clifford Harris's rap sheet. He run a phone, please. See why you playing them that deep. Awkward silence, no need to be quiet. You know you saw the game, we might as well talk about it. Somebody caught a body in front of everybody. Pick six, cornerback out here committing robberies. How much you wanna bet we could cover the spread? 50 yards in the game, 100 after the catch. Throw it up if you want, I'ma grab it and flex. Season 2, Captain Pettier, still with the mess. You can move how you want, but we gon' move too. Round table with your boys, yeah, Scotty and Blue. Backpack. Poet.
What is going on, everybody? Listen, it's been a long day, but it's here. The round table is back with my boy Blue.
What's good, man? Season 3. We got to update that intro. We got to get what you got. Just get that one part. That one part.
I do what's a dub? I gotta dub it. I gotta dub it up. You know what I'm saying? I gotta dub it up. But man, yeah, season 3, man. Season 2 came to an end. We got it, man. It's been a lot of football. It hadn't been much football talk, Blue. It's been a lot of stuff out here in these streets, but it ain't been a lot of football talk, and that's what we here to bring in today. How you been feeling about this season coming up? Feeling re-energized?
Man, I've just been watching a lot of film, watching a lot of XFL, been ready for the USFL to kick off. Man, you know me. Like, you could just take 11 random people, just put them out on the field, and I'll be tuned in watching it. So, also been going back and just getting ready for the draft, man. The combine was a great kind of change of pace. But like you said, man, had to take a break from the whole, content thing, man. There's too much non-football talk going on for me, man. That's just not my place. So, went to the background, and now we're back with some NFL draft talk.
Yes. Listen, and you can't talk about HBCU and NFL draft without Coach G from Draft HBCU Players. So give it up for our today's special guest, Coach G.
What's going on, everybody?
What's good, man? What's good? How you been, Coach?
Oh, man. Just like Blue said, film. But I love it. But it do get tiring. I'm not going to lie. Like, everywhere you're looking at, so you watch film, you're looking for one guy, and you're like, damn, he look better than him. So now you got to go back, watch him. Now you got to compare. I got my list going up and down. I done flipped my list around 2 times since I talked to you earlier. Because I'm like, let me just go back and look at something. Mm. But for the most part, my evals are done. It was, we got the draft guy that just dropped that I'll thank you for purchasing, by the way. The draft guy just dropped. And,
I'm going to make sure I put that in the chat for everybody. Listen, Coach G has a draft guy. So listen, all the questions that you must be in my chat. Scotty, where do you see this? Where do you see him going? Can you see him? Listen, Coach G got a whole black Bible of all HBCU players and they comps. I'm talking about in depth. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat. All right, you Bammers, go ahead. It's $15. And that's 2 cups of coffees at Starbucks. It ain't nothing.
I want to give a huge shout out to Malik Obi, founder of Draft HBCU Players. He that's a hardworking brother. He was like, listen, man, I want you to take the lead on the draft guide this year. So it was me, him, Coach Nooks, and Coach Addison Hayes from Edward Waters. We work really hard on this joint. I mean, I'm talking, and there's some players out there, and you just really had to just continue to watch the film just to see, make sure you're not giving them too great a grade, too low, too high, but at this point, man, I think I got him right, man. I'm confident in the guys that we got in that book and that guy. It's worth it, man. I tell you, there's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
I look at it like this, and I, Blue is I call Blue the boy wonder, because the way you guys can just compile this information and go as in depth that you guys do. But I want to say this. And shout out to everybody, Malik, you, the whole staff at Draft HBCU Players. This is part of the step, and I know, but this is part of the step of us representing us, right? We don't always need a Mel Kiper. We don't need a Todd McShay. All right, we got people in the space that can do what they do. They understand the landscape of it. They know where to look underneath these gems. So I ask is that you give them the same respect that if a Mel Kiper was talking about them, and he's missed, okay? And Tom McShay is talking, and he's missed, all right? Give my guys the same amount of leeway and freedom to give comps, to give evaluations, and miss. We ain't perfect, okay? Ain't nobody. Blue ain't perfect. Coach G ain't perfect. I damn sure ain't perfect, all right? But we going to give you all the thoughts in the rounds of football today. We going to go deep dive in and a lot of football talk. Bump that swag basketball. We in here for the football, all right? We in here for the football. We're going to start off with top 23 NFL QBs. Now, we're not talking about HBCU players. We are talking Power 5. It has been a run amok of just who's number 1, who's number 2, who should be here, who should be there. Blue, what have been some of your thoughts and the opinions that you've heard in your circles as well as Coach G after you?
I would say the biggest thing is it's the same thing every year, man. I think people get too caught up in the combine. Listen, it never ceases. It never ceases to happen where somebody goes, posts stupid numbers. Not a single, and all these people have not watched a single ounce of film on a player is like, he should be number 1 pick. And it's like, on what?
Yeah.
The broad jump? I didn't know the broad jump was winning Super Bowls out here. I think people forget with the draft process, and I know Coach can speak about this too, is the combine is just a small piece of the pie for all these prospects. You don't want to wait anything higher than the other than film. I think film should be weighted a little bit more than the rest. When you look at the combine, the all-star bowls, the stats, the accolades, like it all plays a small percentage of how you view a prospect. But what happens is people love to live in the moment. They see the Twitter video go viral. They see the athleticism scores and they're setting records and doing all this stuff. And then they're like, this is the next coming of the greatest quarterback of all time. And it's like, yeah, but there's nothing else to support that other than his outstanding NFL combine. So for me, it's just kind of been looking at the reaction and being like, man, when are we going to learn that the combine warriors don't always translate into NFL stars?
That's good. That's good, Blue. What you got on the Coach G?
Oh, I agree. I mean, listen, I know they've been having talks about getting rid of the combine. I guess I'm not going to go all the way there, but I do see that it's becoming an issue that people really do fall in love with, like the testing numbers. Because call a spade. You know, we're all going to talk about this guy. We knew Richardson was gonna. Who watched him and said, "Oh, he's gonna run a 4.6"? I mean, come on, man. We knew this guy was a freak athlete, and everybody knew it. Blue, you cover SEC heavy, so I mean, you knew. So it's like for you probably just sitting there like, I mean, okay. I mean, I want to see him throw in a game. That's all I care about with him. I mean, you know. So it's like, okay, you know, and you throw with the spandex on, that's fine. It's 7. I hate 7-on-7 though. That's just my defensive line to me. Like, I don't care about 7-on-7. I barely like 1-on-1s without pads on. So all the stuff that the combine is fine. But like you gotta watch film of Anthony Richardson and guys like that just to it's supposed to who said it? I forgot who said it. They said the combine is just supposed to translate to what you see on the film. So like if you see a guy that looks just really slow on film, and then all of a sudden he's running a 4.2 at the combine, now you're like, okay, what did I miss? Like, okay, so you use that in that aspect, but to completely like just people, I mean, talking about people's stock. I'm talking about guys that were undrafted grades are now day 2 picks because of the combine. So, but we'll get into that. But that's just I'm not too high on it.
Let me throw it back to you guys, and I've had this thought, and I know as you guys being the big brains and all, you're probably gonna be like, how? But should the quarterback have a different set of combine rules? You know what I'm saying? Because just doing the drop back 1 2 3 slant, 1 2 3 slant, the show off throw, the fade as now become the goal line. I'm like, what is this? The goal line passes that CeeDee Lamb made infamous with the one-hander and stuff like that. So should there be a different way maybe to show off the intellect of or the capability of a quarterback in the NFL combine?
I think I do think that in terms of like the intellect and the understanding on how to read coverages and stuff like that, it can be shown on the board, but the problem is the average fan doesn't see that because we don't have cameras in the interview room. Like if you don't think every quarterback who was at the combine got quizzed on every single type of coverage read, playbook, what do you do if the safety comes down here? Do you bring this guy in motion? How do you set protection? All that happens. It's just we don't get to see who performs well and who doesn't. All we get is the Mel Kiper or whoever rumors on, who did this or who did that. But I do wish that the passing drills would be updated a little bit, because the way I had it explained to me, I asked someone who has been to the combine and they've talked to scouts and people who help run it. They said that all the passing concepts and drills at the combine, if you suck at that just pretty much like you're supposed to be good at it. If you're not good, I mean, if you can't make a simple throw in a dome on turf and shorts and a t-shirt, probably not an NFL guy. So it's really just pretty much weeding out the pretenders. But I think there's ways, because it's harder with O-line, D-line. Like you probably can't get out there in pads and do a bunch of one-on-ones and stuff. I mean, just because of injury, because what happens if a guy tears his ACL, which we saw a guy tear his ACL doing the drills anyway. So we can debate that, but I think there's 7-on-7s or some sort of drill we can make where we can find out and see who's really a good quarterback, because the biggest question for Levis and Richardson was accuracy. I don't think we had any questions answered in Indianapolis on whether their accuracy is really fixed or how bad it is.
That's fair. Coach G, any thoughts on changing or adding anything to the quarterback combine version of the NFL.
I agree with Blue. I mean, I was just sitting here thinking like, well, we look good. I mean, they do. These kids been doing 7-on-7 is the new AAU. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, these kids don't even weight train anymore. It's just 7-on-7 practice in the off season for DBs and those. Like, I had DNs that wanted to go do it just to be athletic, play tight end. They're never going to play tight end. But yeah, but for those guys, it's like, yo, they've been doing that forever. So okay, just let them. If that's the case, do 7-on-7. At least okay, I can see him in person. It's still shorts and a t-shirt, but he has to read the coverage. He can only do but so many coverages in 7-on-7. I mean, because it's not a legit. You can't blitz and nothing like that. So I mean, you're going to get cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. You may get cover 6, but you're definitely going to get 0-2. So to be able to pick up on that, call it out, maybe they can hear you. Change it at the line. It's still weird. I mean, it's really nothing. I don't honestly, man. You just gotta trust the film with quarterbacks. I mean, because there's nothing they could do with. It's just such a difference, man. I had a quarterback. We all know quarterbacks look good in 7-on-7, and then all of a sudden, the first day you send 4 guys his way because the offensive line don't want to block. I can't throw a football anymore. It's a different look, So you have to take the film or whatever your notes. Your notes have to come from things that are realistic to what he's going to see on a day-to-day. And he's not going to see the combine on a day-to-day. He's going to see Aaron Donald running at him. And then you got guys like Leonard Floyd and Von Miller, you name it. Like, these guys are coming at you. Yeah. And as you can see, you got 280-pound guys faster than majority of our DBs.
Woo!
So,
that's ridiculous.
So as a quarterback, you've got a lot to think about. And I don't think the combine really helps him in that aspect outside of what Blue said, the interviews where you're quizzing you on your coverage and stuff like that.
It just amazes me like how the freak of athlete DNs are becoming now. Because I remember when Julius Peppers was like the thing, like he was like, you're like, oh man, like 4'5", 4'4", you know what I'm saying? And he's 6'6", you know what I'm saying? Like freak, bend and all that type of stuff. And now you got Nolan Smith just outrageously runs a 4'3", 4'4".
Off an ACL.
Come on. I'm like, bro, you might as well play running back. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's Derrick Henry. But that's what people said about Derrick Henry, bro. You're like a DN playing running back. You know what I'm saying? So it's amazing to me. But let's get into these quarterbacks. And shout out to Isaiah, man, in the chat, man. Appreciate you, bro, for tuning in, Zay. We're going to start with Coach G. Got to give it to the guests. Why have you rated the quarterbacks the way you rated them?
Listen, clear and cut, Bryce Young is it's hands down, he's the best quarterback in this class. He's the most pro ready. I think he's probably going to end up being a day one starter, depending on where he goes. I like his accuracy. I like his ability to escape. I see some people comp him to Drew Brees. Okay, I guess he's more. I guess you want to just do the whole height thing, but he's like a more accurate, more poised version of Kyler to me. Way more poised. And he just seems like he just shrugs it off. Like, nothing really phases him. I like that. So overall, those attributes, I have to give it to him. I feel like no one's going to disagree there. I mean, take that back because some people were saying my number 4 pick was going to be the number 1 overall pick. So Stroud was born to throw a football. Like, you just look at a guy, he's like, okay, yeah, he's meant to throw a football. And I like how accurate he is as well. People don't give him a lot of credit for his mobility. I think he's mobile enough.
Yeah.
Because, like there's a lot of quarterbacks we didn't think were going to be this mobile that are running all over the place. So I think he has enough mobility. He has an arm strength. I know, the whole people love the deep throw at the combine. I kind of like it too. I just want to see how far you can throw the ball. So me personally, I do like it because I got used to. I was a Carolina Panthers fan, so I got used to knowing like, listen, Cam could throw this off his back foot 60 yards.
Easy.
So I got used to that. And then, having had this, I couldn't see that lately because quarterback situation is really bad and we won't get Lamar. So, but yeah, so Stroud, my number 2. I am high on Hooker. Blue could probably help me out with this a little more because, that's his thing. But when I watched him play, and he looked like the second most pro ready guy behind Bryce. I know he's older, but that might help him in a way because he's just a little more mature and he's a little more seasoned in that aspect. And you can see throughout the season, like he just had a very calm demeanor. He doesn't aim the ball. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't really He doesn't really sky over. He doesn't throw the ball over people's head too often. He's not a one read guy. I mean, people say he's a one read guy. I think he goes through the progression pretty well. The mobility, we'll see after the injury, but he's still pretty mobile. I'm pretty sure he would have ran in whatever the 4.6 or 4.7, which is fine for me as a quarterback. I mean, and he's not a turnover machine, and I like that. And he's like, once again, accuracy. That the two guys behind him, that's where the biggest questions come from. So I'll lump them two together. I really can, because the thing about Levis, they say system, offensive line was horrible. Okay, well, I'm just going to break it to you. More than likely, you're going to go to a team, if you're picked high, they have the same problems with their offense.
That's fair.
So, I mean, so if you can't deal with that, granted, he's in the toughest conference in college football. Well, I would say it's the toughest. Some people say something different, so I would say it's the toughest conference. And he can't deal with that. So what's he going to do next level? And people are, when they pick you this high, depending on what team you go on, listen, you're bridge quarterback. He has 2 bad games. You better be ready to play. So now you can't deal with the pass rush, and you only been getting in practice. So maybe you might be going against the ones, but even that, they don't really go but so hard until training camp, yeah. But then during the season, they're not really going that hard. So you're not really seeing a real pass rush for real. And then in your preseason games, you're probably going against guys that weren't going to play anyway. So my biggest thing is he played in the toughest conference, and he showed us his hand to me. I think we know who he is. I think people are just trying to make a lot of excuses for him. And I'm not saying people making excuses for Richardson per se, but they're kind of similar in this aspect that, listen, we know they're not accurate, but we're trying to find ways to make them accurate. They're not accurate. They're big, athletic quarterbacks that can throw the ball. Their ceiling is Josh Allen, but their floor could be Jamarcus Russell. So, we don't really. Richardson is a guy. He's going to stare down his target. And that's what you get from a lot of guys that run all these RPO schemes. So they stare down their target. So he's not a big progression guy. Levis is a better progression guy to him. But at the end of the day, that breakaway speed that Richardson has and that ability to make plays, that separates him and Levis to me. Because I think when it comes to being a passer, I will give a slight edge to Levis. But when it comes to the athleticism, it's like a huge gap. So it depends for me. It's like, okay, Panthers pick at 9. I'm just thinking realistically for me as a fan. I'm like, okay, I don't think unless we trade up, we're not getting Stroud or Bryce. Hooker, no one's going to draft him to the 3rd, 4th round.
Absolutely. So
maybe I might get my guy if we don't get him. But now it's like, okay, we got Richardson and Levis at 9. I mean, can Reich do? I mean, can he turn Richardson into? I'll take 60%. I'll take it 60%. 60% completion percent. I'm cool with that on NFL level because I don't think he did that very much on a college level. I will take that from
like 55. I think it was like 55, 57, something like that. Yeah.
So I will take that from him. So I mean, for me, like I was just talking to one of the people we work with at Draft HBCU, Kalen. We were just talking about quarterbacks in there. Like, how do I explain this? Pretty much, every quarterback is a system quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. Like, the best teams have a system. Regardless of what people want to say, Patrick Mahomes is in a great system. And they have the perfect pieces to work the system, and he is the perfect piece to run the system. Jalen Hurts. You look at the quarterback, Justin Herbert. You look at the best quarterbacks. They have a system. Tom Brady had a system. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody knew it, and that's okay because guess what? It was successful for him. So let's stop trying to like downplay somebody by saying they're a system guy. Richardson could be a really good system quarterback. He could be his ceiling, like I said, could be Josh Allen. He could get you to the Super Bowl. But if you don't put him in the right system,
it's all
and then you kind of make him something he's not.
Yeah. Then
you're gonna get that floor. So it really just boils down to between those two. The other three, I think they're gonna be fine. Hooker gets healthy. He gets healthy. He goes to the right situation. I think he's gonna be a really good starting quarterback. He might end up being the best out of everybody on this list right now. Me personally, but for Richardson and Levis, because they are like the two guys, it's like okay, they could either be the top 10 or they could be 1, 2, 3. I mean, who knows? But biggest thing is just got to get them in the right situation. I mean, but how many good situations are there if you're getting picked that high? So So I mean, that's my 1 through 5. I mean, I'm going with that's my 1 through 5, and I'm confident with that 1 through 5.
Okay. I think mine's is gonna shake a little bit. I love CJ Stroud. I think what I saw at the Georgia playoff game told me everything that I needed to know about him. He was mobile enough to get out of the trouble, to make some huge throws. I think Marvin Harrison is a great security blanket to have. Okay, it's a great security blanket. But the size, the build, the accuracy, the power, I love it all. For me, he would be my number 1 pick. Now, this is where it gets. The only reason I put Herndon Hooker over Bryce is because of the height. I don't like that he's 5'10". I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It bothers me. I've talked to a couple QB coaches in the NFL. They're like, bro, height matters. Unless you're Kyler Murray and you're just super uberly athletic and gifted, height matters. You know what I'm saying? But you have the Drew Breeses, you have the Doug Flutys, you have the outliers, right? You have those guys that you like, okay, if we get them in the right system, if we get them in the right pocket or whatever in the situation, it can work. But I like Hooker over Bryce because of his height. The biggest knock, and me and Blue was just talking about this, the biggest knock I have on Herndon Hooker, he's flat-footed, and it bothers me to the tip. I mean, he literally just be like his feet are in mud and cement, and he doesn't bounce. He doesn't, it's really bothersome to me. It really irks my nerves. But other than that, you could go 2 or 3, 3 and 2. It all depends on your preference. Bryce Young, I mean, if he's 6'2", this is not even a question. In my personal opinion, it's not even he's 6'2" is not even a question. 6'1", not even a question. I put him at number 1. You got a question, Coach G? I know you feel like you.
Oh no! Listen, I didn't expect your list to look like this. I'm not gonna lie. I like that you feel the same way I feel about Hooker for the most part, but Bryce he's the same height as Russ. I mean, they're like 10 pounds apart, you know.
But the thing about Russ, though, is the best versions of Russ have always come with his mobility and his ability to escape the pocket and extend the play, even as a rookie. You know what I'm saying? And he's always been that. Even as he's grown, he can dish you from the pocket. But what Russell was the most deadliest is when Russ was cooking. And we know what Russ cooking means. It means getting out on the pocket, moving, and having that mobility. I'm not saying Bryce can't be that. I just don't really see a lot of that. And my last two, Levis he throws a really good ball. As a receiver, that's something. I am a receiver to my core. Okay. I love the ball that he throws. He throws a really good ball. And people are not going to like this when I say this. He reminds me of he has a release like Aaron Rodgers-ish, right? Where it's just like he can fade back and he can just flick that thing and it'll go over your head. He has a good touch. He just has really low lows. Like you'd be like, what? Like you be looking at his game and you're like, bro, what are you doing? You know, but there's a lot of factors, offensive line, and this is a lot of factors with it. But he does throw a really great ball. And Richardson, listen. He is the prototypical athlete playing quarterback. I hate to use that, but I would say, are you a quarterback that's an athlete? Are you an athlete that is playing quarterback? And this guy is an athlete playing quarterback. When he misses, it is high and it's sailing. I'm just talking about, but he's so strong in the way he throws it. If I was a receiver, I would not like for him to throw me the ball. Because if you're throwing me a slant, I might get hit and the ball is going to hit me just as hard. Like the linebacker is going to hit me just as hard and the ball is going to hit me just as hard. So even if I miss it, I'm probably still going to get killed. So I don't like that. He just doesn't throw a very good ball for me as a wide receiver. I don't like it, but to each his own. Blue, it's on you, my boy.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I think Stroud and Young are kind of like 1A, 1B for me. I've been going back and forth on who I have as the top quarterback, but I give Stroud the edge, kind of like Scotty, just due to size. Just historically, when you look, guys Bryce Young size, there is a lot more guys that size that don't produce a quarterback than there are. And so I'm going to bet on the side of history and say Stroud's got the measurables to succeed quicker and probably reach a higher ceiling. I think they both throw great balls. They've both shown that they can win. They both show that they can show up in big games. So I like, they check all the boxes for me. They both have a little bit of mobility, team leaders. That's why they're 1 and 2. 3 for me is Hooker. I've been writing for Tennessee now for a little while, so I've got to do a lot of film breakdown on him, talk about him, got to cover his combine. Man, to me, he seems like the safest bet pick out of all 5 of these guys. I think Hooker might not have the highest ceiling of any of the 5, but he definitely has the highest floor. I like that. And so I think Hooker is the safe bet. I really do think if he doesn't get hurt in that South Carolina game, he's he's easily top 10 pick.
Easy.
I think that injury really knocked him out. I mean, this is a guy who didn't play the last, I think, 3 games of the year and won SEC Offensive Player of the Year, reset the Tennessee career record for completion percentage, and set the single season record in back-to-back seasons.
Woo.
I mean, he does it all. Doesn't turn the football over. He's accurate. He can throw all 3 levels of the field. He's a leader. You've seen his development too. That's what I like to see. Can he continue to develop? I'm telling you, go back and watch the Virginia Tech film. The step he took from Virginia Tech to Tennessee, if you took the numbers off and the names, I would have thought they were different quarterbacks. It's that big of a development from his time at Virginia Tech to Tennessee. I'm really high on Hooker, and I think whoever takes him, I disagree with G on the 3rd round thing. I do think someone's going to reach in the early 2nd to take him. Someone's going to get QB desperate because everyone's going to get QB desperate early. So Stroud, Young, Levis, and Richardson are all going to be going top 10. Someone's going to get desperate. I thought it might be the Saints, but they just signed Derek Carr. So I'm looking at potentially whoever in that top 10 doesn't come away with the quarterback is going to try to find a way to get him in the 2nd, I think. And when you go to 4 and 5, it's 2 guys who they both have high ceilings, but I think the floor can be, franchise ruining type floor. Like, I agree with you. And I hate the comparison for Cam Newton and Anthony Richardson because I think it's so lazy. Anyone who says that, they just see a big guy who could run, who played in the SEC, and they're like, oh, it's Cam. And it's like, I really do think he's closer to Jamarcus Russell than he is Cam Newton. And I think his ceiling would probably be closer to a Dante Culpepper compared to a Cam Newton.
That's good.
And I just think it's a lazy comparison to say that he's the next Cam Newton because listen, I get Florida wasn't what Florida was in the past while he was there, but you can't tell me he didn't play with talent at Florida. And he consistently failed to beat anybody of note in the SEC and consistently got beat by teams who were less talented than them. He cannot elevate a team around him. And that's a huge unchecked box for me on his scouting report. Stroud, Young, Hooker have all been able to elevate talent and win. You cannot say that about Richardson. And you really can't. And you could say that about Levis in 2021, potentially, because Kentucky did win, a few big games with him in 2021, but in 2022, he wasn't able to do that. The reason I have Levis over Richardson is because he's a better passer. Yeah. He's more accurate. I think his arm is there, and I think his ball placement's better than Anthony Richardson. I want to see Levis fully healthy, and I think Levis has a higher ceiling than Richardson, and that's why I have him at 4 over Richardson.
The game to me that really showed, like what Richardson was actually the game against Kentucky. Like when I watched that battle between the two, I'm like, Levis didn't really do anything too special, but Richardson hurt his team so much that it just kept putting Levis in a situation where every time he stepped on the field, he wasn't going no more. Like he stepped on the field, he like, oh, yeah, we up, oh, we good. Let me just run the ball. Let me just make that one throw. Or let me just make he never. When you see quarterbacks battle, right? You're like, okay, you make a play. Hey, let me come out. I'm gonna make a play. You make a play. That's when you see great quarterback and great quarterback play. That's usually what happened. You can take it back to the Clemson game against Deshaun Watson and Tua, or was that Jalen? It was Jalen. You know what I'm saying? When they went back and forth making plays. So it's just, you want to see that type of style play. I didn't see that. Now, let me ask you guys this. Stetson Bennett, right? Let me say about Herndon Hooker. I hope the Cowboys take him in the 2nd round. I'm going to just say that. All right. Stetson Bennett. where do you see him going? Because I could see him going in a third round. The reason I say this, right, is because he's a winner. And you can't deny a winner. And I don't know, like, when you watch him, you're just like, but the Bama just wins. I can't explain it, man, because I'll say this. If he was a black quarterback, a lot of people would be like, but he wins. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just me. I'm sorry, but where do you guys see Stetson Bennett? I like Stetson Bennett.
I'm with you. I kind of like Stetson Bennett, because I always grade quarterback, like, how good a quarterback could be by where you get him. If you draft a Stetson the first, that'd be a terrible pick. That's stupid. But if you can get value in the 4th, 5th round and draft a guy who's a two-time national championship winner, let me ask you guys, that wide receiving core was not historically great for Georgia. Like, outside of the tight end and Bowers, he didn't have, like, he was throwing to Lad McConkey. Bro, making Lad McConkey look like an All-American out there in the national championship. Come on, man. That's ridiculous. So I think he's a mid-round guy, and I think he's a guy who, if you have any doubt in the back of your mind about your quarterback, why not take a shot with him? If you have an extra pick in the 4th, 5th round, maybe 6th if he falls that far. Another guy, just real quick before I throw it to G, a guy who I'm kind of high on, I almost put in my top 5. He's like 5B for me. McKee from Stanford. I think all the hype about Levis potentially being the next Herbert or Josh Allen, I think McKee coming out of Stanford has a better chance to be the next Justin Herbert than Levis does. I think that's someone you need to look out for, because I think he's in an offense that ran the ball a lot. They really didn't throw it around. He has the measurables. He has the arm talent. I think McKee could be a sneaky mid-round pick too.
What you got, Coach G, on Stetson Bennett and any of your sleepers that you?
Well, I mean, I guess I got to be realistic. It's not about how I feel. It's about what the trajectory is. And end of the day, like Blue said, people are gonna reach. So we might have 10 quarterbacks drafted in the first 3-4 rounds. I mean, that's just sadly, but I hope that's not the case. But Stetson Bennett, okay. If he gets drafted before any of the guys that we've posted on our rankings, then I'm gonna have a problem with it.
Yes, I agree. I'm with you.
Yeah, that's not like, if he goes before Hooker, then I'm like, okay, all right, something. If he goes before Levis and Richardson, I'm like, okay. So I thought the Senior Bowl thing and him getting arrested, I thought that like kind of messed up his stock. I really don't think it did, because I think people just kind of forgot that he didn't go to Senior Bowl for whatever reason. I forgot the reason why, and he got arrested. So I guess people just forgot about it. So we just moved on. I'm pretty sure he interviews very well. That doesn't shock me if he interviews amazing. So he probably wooed them in an interview. So they're like, you know what? You might be our Brock Purdy. So, everybody wants the next Brock Purdy. So just like everybody wants the next James Houston. Everybody just, it's a copycat. Everybody know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yes. So is Stetson Bennett going to probably be someone's next Brock Purdy? Probably. I'm not going to lie to you. He might come in his 3rd year and just go crazy, and he might end up being one of the most accomplished guys. That's just how it goes. I mean, those guys that win, they just win. I mean, winners win. They just find a way. So winners win. He's not a bad quarterback by any stretch. I mean, he's not going to wow you. I think he tested pretty well. If people care about that, he tested better than I thought. And I don't think he was running as fast. He might have been fast.
He was cruising, like he was just jogging.
He was like literally, it was like effortless for him. So I'm like, he might be a better athlete than we thought, but I'm not gonna say he might not make it out of day 2. To be honest with the way everyone speaks, the way it may go, he might not make it out of day 2. But I can see him being a 6th round, 7th round pick, and someone's like, oh, I got me a gem, and he's gonna probably light up preseason. You're gonna hear things about him out of camp about how he just looks so poised, and he's just going right, doing what he did when he was in college. So it wouldn't shock me. It probably shouldn't shock anybody if he ended up being a pretty solid pro. At worst, on the top backups you'll see in the NFL. So
I would take Tim DeMorat over him still. I'm gonna throw that out there.
Fair enough.
Because he
Go ahead, Blue.
Oh, I was gonna say in his pro day, I just pulled that up. He got a 9.16 RAS score at his pro day. Tim DeMorat from Fordham. Yeah. And like everyone said he wasn't like a runner, ran a 4.6. 40. And I mean, this guy had 13,000 passing yards and all that. So I mean, and he was 6'3", 226.
Mhm.
I'll take that over Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm sorry. I really like Stetson. I don't know why. Like he just, I wouldn't be mad if the Cowboys took him like in the 5th round or 4th. I really, because I think like he reminds me of like you don't ever do something out of your lane, right? You don't go above and beyond who you are. You just do what you do, but you need an offensive coordinator or a team that understands like, hey, we just need you to manage this thing. And there's nothing wrong with being a game manager. And I think he does really well at that. And in the big games, I need you to make big throws. That's it. That's all you really ask for Stetson Bennett is in the big games, can you make big throws? And you cannot tell me that seam ball he threw down the middle against Ohio State when the linebacker's head was literally by, and he put that joker on a dot, on a rope. Can he make a throw like that? I want to. I'll take it. I'll take that white boy. They call him the milkman. I'll take the milkman. You know what I'm saying? I get milkman t-shirts. Maybe I'm out here. You know what I'm saying? So shoot, because Jerry don't believe in a lot of black quarterbacks. That's why Dak is mixed. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. But it is just saying. Oh man, let's get it. Hey, we gonna move forward. Listen, you know what you guys came to talk about, right? Top HBCU prospects. How we gonna do this? Is we all have our top HBCU prospects that we feel that should be drafted or where they're getting drafted at. What we're going to do is we're going to go through ours, and then at the end of it, we're going to give you coaches' top 10 HBCU prospects debuted here on Off-Script on the Roundtable here on the Blue Bloods as well. All right, so let me start this off. Blue, you up the bat, my boy.
Let's do it. Yeah, listen, I know we had a bad combine. I get it. I know we did. But listen, me and Coach just talked about it in the first segment. Listen, the film's still there for my guy Mark. The film is still there, and I think someone's still going to take a shot because he does have the versatility to play all 5 positions across the offensive line. So even if he doesn't make it at tackle, he can play guard, and there's even talk about him potentially moving to center. He's going to get drafted. I think he's too accomplished. The film is there, and there's been too many guys in the league that have not performed necessarily well at the combine that had the skills to still step in. I just think when you put him up against the prototypical offensive tackle that gets invited to the combine, like of course his measurables are going to get drugged. I mean, he's just not big enough, like compared to some of the prototypical tackles. But Mark Evans is still there. The pro comp for him, when I hear a good one, man, I got to give Coach credit because he posted the RAS score for this guy. And I was like, really? I got to go back and watch the film on this. Kelvin Beachum is a hell of a pro comp. I got to give Coach credit, man, because at first I was like, Kelvin Beachum, man, because really I was like, I haven't watched him in forever. So I went and looked. I could see it. I mean, they are built extremely similarly. They got similar type of games, and Kelvin made a living at 6'3" at offensive tackle, holding his own, can slide it down and play guard. He played in the league for a bunch of years. So I think Mark Evans, that is a great pro comp. I still got Mark Evans as my top prospect. I'm way higher on this guy than a lot of people. Jadakiss Bonds is number 2 for me. Scotty, every time I watch film on him, I get a little bit higher. And if I wasn't an offensive lineman at heart, he might be number 1. I'm just being honest, man. Like if I didn't have my love for my lineman at heart, he'd probably be number 1. And my pro comp might surprise you guys. I think this probably is his ceiling pro comp more so than anything else. I think he could be a Robert Woods type of receiver. They're built very similarly and way about the same. They got a similar type of game. And I think Jadakiss can do a variety of things, line up in different positions. And I think he's so reliable. And that's something you could say about Robert Woods is, man, throughout his career, everywhere he's went, he's been the reliable target. And I can see Jadakiss Bonds fitting that. When you look at the size, you look at the hands, I don't think he has elite speed, but he's good enough that you're not worried about it. So I would just say average speed. And that's kind of what you get. Robert Woods wasn't a burner, but he was the guy who could go get you however many catches you need. He could step up in big moments. And I think that's what you're going to get in Jadakiss Bonds. I'm still on Isaiah Land here at number 3. I think his combine was solid, man. The 4.6 on official is solid. I think you got what you expected of him in terms of edge rushers. And I think my pro comp for him, I struggled, man. I've changed this a few times. I'm gonna throw it back to Kevin Burnett
Oh wow.
as his pro comp. They're built similarly, and Scotty, you'll laugh because a lot of people talked about Isaiah Lamb moving to safety if he transferred to Georgia. Kevin Burnett was a safety who moved down to linebacker and eventually moved down to edge rusher. 6'3", 240, played in the league forever, came out of Tennessee, was a second-round pick, second-team All-American, had 20-plus sacks in the NFL. I can see Isaiah Lamb fitting that type of mold. I do like Coach's pro comp. I can't wait for him to drop that on here. I think that's a really good one, too. But I think this is a true linebacker comp for Isaiah Lamb about how he can fit into the league at the next level and still be productive as a pass rusher. And then Aubrey's still my number 4 guy. I would have loved to see him at the combine. Because for me to do a true pro comp, I want to see his 40. I want to see his shuttle. I want to see his 3-cone draw. I want to see what he puts up on the bench press. But I think he did everything he could at the Senior Bowl to improve his stock. He was a leader. He played in Scotty, we talked about this. The linebacker room he played in was stacked with guys, and he was a guy who shined in that room. So for him to shine on that stage, surrounded by all that talent, he's a guy who can go get you 100 tackles with ease. I love his game, and I think regardless of his size or speed or cover skills, whatever people want to see, there's always a need for a Mike linebacker who's not afraid to get after the ball carrier and stick his nose in the hole. That's Aubrey Miller, my pro comp. Scotty, I told you people might not love it. I was struggling with this because I don't have any 40-yard dash, anything. He reminds me so much of Deshaun Davis from Auburn. A few years back, went to the Cincinnati Bengals in the 6th round. Another undersized guy from Pritchard, Alabama, my hometown, played at 5'11", 230 at linebacker. Scotty at Auburn had 116 tackles, all SEC selection, was candidate for linebacker of the year. He's Aubrey Miller's size, speed on film, from what I can tell, and plays sideline to sideline. Can get down in the hole, but did struggle a little bit with pass coverage. His film is so eerily similar to Aubrey Miller. So I'm going to go with Deshaun Davis, who now is the linebacker coach over at North Alabama. Finally, man, Keenan Isaac. Scotty, you know this. I went back and changed his number 5 like 3 times today. I couldn't decide who I wanted, but I'm going to go with Keenan Isaac. I think his measurables, and I just think, man, there's always a need for long, rangy, shutdown corners, man. And I think he can be that guy. And I don't want to – I always hate picking guys who seem like a lazy comp, but the more I looked at their film and measurables, man, I think he could be this year's Joshua Williams.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, man, the size is there, man. I'm telling you. And they got similar builds, and I think he can, if he goes to the right system where he doesn't have to be the number 1 corner, similar to what Josh did. Yeah, I think he can make an impact year 1. I do.
The funny thing about Keenan, I'm gonna say this: I was not a fan during the season. I'm gonna be 100% because I didn't see the hype. But seeing him at the Legacy Bowl and seeing how much of a competitor he was, like he wanted to go against Xavier every single time. I absolutely loved it, and he jumped up on. I was like, oh, I love this kid. You know what I'm saying? But overall, I'm sorry, Blue, but I just want to say that about Keenan. I love his competitiveness.
Man, he to get down in the slot where he knows he's not playing in the slot.
Didn't matter to him.
For him to just say, man, listen, I want the best guy all day. Like, I don't care. I got to love it. And I just think at Alabama State, man, he played on a really good defense with a lot of good guys, and he showed out. He was the guy who popped out on film, even when he watched the Alabama State team with Bubba, with Nelson, with, I mean, what Adrian, even as a freshman, Adrian was out there balling out. So I really like Keenan Isaac. I think his game is going to translate really well. My honorable mentions, Kamari Everett. The tight end position is built for him. I mean, if you had to create a player to fit the tight end mold today, it's Kamari Everett. And I think if he played with a legit quarterback, the stats that he would put up in the SWAC would be, if he played at Jackson with Shador, his stats would have been ignorant.
Oh, God.
But to be honest, I still say no, because they don't even use tight ends like that, if we're being honest.
They would have used him. He's too good.
They couldn't.
He's too good.
Yeah, they would have. You had no choice but to use him. I mean, come on.
He would have been. I'm sorry. Listen, they got some good wide receivers over. Like Dallas was great. All that. He would have been the best pass catcher at Jackson State. Yeah. Immediately. And so I'll put Xavier in there too as my honorable mentions. For me, I want to, like Scotty, we talked about it. We're just going to have to go to a great system that is going to, we talked about slot receivers earlier, man, he's going to fit somewhere as a slot receiver and put up numbers. It's going to be, and if the Chiefs get him, Jesus Christ, it's going to be unfair if the Chiefs get him in that offense. But Isaiah Bolden's another honorable mention for me just because of his versatility. Special teams guys matter, especially when you get 4th round and later. If you can't play special teams, you are not making a roster. And Isaiah Bolden's ability to be a game-changing special teams player is why I have him on here. And he improved as a DB this year. So I think he has a chance to see the field as a defensive back as well. Then my super honorable mention, I got to give my guy Nelson Jordan a shout out. He showed out at the Legacy Bowl. He has the measurables. I would love to see someone take a chance on him because there's no questions if he has the size to play defensive end. It's just who's going to take that shot and give him a chance to make that roster.
I love it. I love it. Next up, Coach D, you up?
All right. So it's pretty similar to an extent. I had to throw a wrinkle in mind because I was telling Scotty, I was like, man, I don't know who my 5 was. I made a top 10, and I was just like, listen, my 5 rotates like this every single day. Because I was at the Shrine Bowl, so I got to see Jadakiss Bonds and Dallas Daniels and Shaq Davis. I got to see them in person, so I'm like, oh yeah. And I saw the film of the practices. I was like, yeah. They're all who I thought they were from film. Let me start at the top. Mark Evans, like I said, like a lot of like the smart people are saying, don't let the combine fool you. Mark Evans is a really good offensive lineman, not offensive tackle, offensive lineman. When they put him at right guard and left guard and center throughout the Shrine Bowl week, he did fine. He had a little, at first he struggled with just resetting your hands and dropping your base and just, sticking a little bit because, his one thing, you could overpower him if you get into him. But the good thing about Mark is he has some of the biggest hands in the draft. And when he punches you, you're going backwards. So if he gets in your chest, that's his game. That's his game. When he gets on you early, he wins. He wins. When he gets in you early and he's able to get a good grip on you inside your jersey, there's nothing you can do. He actually went against some of the best guys you're probably going to see edge rush in black college football his whole career. Think of the past 5 years, some of the edge rushes that came out of the SWAC. For God's sake, he blocked them all. And when he went against Oklahoma State this year, please watch the Oklahoma State game. I beg anybody, if you don't know anything about Mark Evans, just watch that game. Watch the tenacity, the anger. I don't know what he just played. That was probably close. I mean, PFF kind of graded a little different than I probably would have graded. I thought he showed up very well. I mean, he was sticking guys, man. I'm telling you, he's stealing them. As soon as they come off the ball, he's beat them to the spot. So you can't just do a nice little dip rip move on him. Okay, so they tried to overpower him, but I was watching him stick, reset, and hold his ground. So then he turns it into a run block. So I'm looking at stuff like that versus Power 5 opponents. He's been starting since he got there his freshman year. I mean, I don't care about the 40, and that's why I switched his comp. So his original comp was Roman Oben because I thought he was taller. Then I got to the Shrine Bowl. I was stood next. I was like, oh wow, you're not 6'4". You're really not 6'4". Yeah, I was caught off. I was like, damn, you my height. You know what I'm saying? We 6'2.5". That's what we got. I said, oh man. When I went up to the hotel room, I said, yo, I gotta go back to the drawing board. So I was like, yo, I gotta find a comp for Mark. Of all people, I gotta have a comp for Mark. So I was like, I'm trying to think of an undersized left tackle. Got it. And it took like that. It was just like that. I was like, undersized left tackle. Kelvin Beachum. And even I couldn't believe Kelvin Beachum was 6'2" and change. He's 6'3" with cleats on. Like he's legit, and they didn't move him. He's been a left tackle since he's on the Steelers. Like that's his thing at 6'3". And I'm like, Mark can do it. I just have faith that Mark can do it. But the thing about Mark, the only difference is people are willing to kick him inside. I think Mark, I'm definitely in the minority. Like I think it's a few others. I think Mark can still play left tackle. I really do. Because I just think end of the day, regardless of the height, he has the athleticism to stay in front of these edge rushes, regardless of what the 40 times says. Because end of the day, offensive linemen only doing that 3 times a game, maybe 4. Now, if you got some really nasty offensive linemen that run all the way down the field and clear the pile and stuff like that, okay, you might get your nice little 15, 20-yard sprint in, but you're not running 40 yards. But it does showcase your ability to be able to move in space and have what kind of speed you have when you're going to go block a safety or block a corner on the edge. Okay. But during the drills, watch him during the drills, he looked fluid. He looked fine. He looked like one of the best guys doing the drills. So that's my biggest thing. It's like, I watch your film. You look good in the drills. Like I said, Mark has nothing to worry about. Mark is going to be someone's starting left tackle or left guard at the next.
Wow.
It's going to happen. It might not happen this year, but it's going to happen. He will. I mean, he just has it in him. When you talk to him, he's just a very humble, hardworking young man. You just like to see that. And he just gets better and better. So that's my number one. Isaiah Land and Aubrey Miller have been my toss-up. Because the only thing that's hard for me with Aubrey keeping that too was the fact I haven't seen him run yet. So, I mean, I'm thinking 4.7, 4.6, 4.7, between 4.6 and 4.8. That's what I'm thinking. He doesn't seem like he has blazing speed on field, but he's instinctual, so he knows where the ball is going, so it makes him look fast. So I like Isaiah Land at 2 because the versatility is there. I do like the versatility. I also don't want people to overthink this. Do not try and kick him the weak side linebacker or Sam or Mike. Just don't pull the plug on it. It's just let him do what he's been good at doing for pretty much most of his football career. The kid's an edge rusher. He's getting bigger. He has to get stronger. And the biggest thing he has to work on is his run stopping ability. I just don't think he don't have the lower half to just hold up in a run very long. But that's a small edge rusher problem. That's just how it goes. Like, what do you got to give some, you got to take some. Okay, the first 2 downs you might give up 8 yards, but I know in this 3rd and 2, if they just so happen to pass, okay, I know you're gonna get the sack.
If they just don't have it.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, are you willing to give up that to know, okay, I might have a strip sack on this 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4 and up? Most teams are willing to take that. I mean, I'll say most of the top pass rushers are pretty decent run stoppers, but you can tell the best run stoppers for the most part are not the best pass. It's weird.
Let me ask you a question on this, because this is the thing that's bothered me about Isaiah Land. And I'll get to my list later, but Southeast Louisiana, that is not good tape. That is not good tape. And that's when he's gone against, when you see him go against that type of tackle, 6'6", 6'7", 305, 310, and he gets stonewalled time after time. I think, if I'm being honest, when I watch the game again, I think he probably got like 3 hurries. If I'm being honest, he probably got about 3 hurries, and that's it. And that's with Hunt and Savion in the middle to take away the double team. So explain to me how a coach can watch that tape and say, you know what, he can be my edge rusher.
Because here's the ignorance of every football coach that has ever coached. They always believe they could make a guy what they want them to be.
That's fair.
That's why when you see these, look at these edge rushers in these high school ranks. They're all 6'4", 190 pounds, getting Power 5 offers their freshman year. Why? Because they're 6'5", and they're like, oh, I could put 50 pounds on you healthy, and I'm gonna make you a freak athlete, and I'm gonna show you the technique. So now that you put your technique with your athleticism, now look at me. Now I done coached. I done showed the most athletic kid in the country how to be a technician. I'm the greatest coach ever. That's what every coach thinks. I don't care what anybody say. Every coach thinks they could get that guy to be that guy. And let me tell you now, it ain't that easy. Okay? I've coached some really great athletes that could not dent freaking hard. I just want to just put that out there. There's nothing. Oh my God, spill technique, dent technique, surf technique, kill technique. And they just couldn't it's like, yo, the quarterback is literally going to pull the ball. That's why I'm telling you to run right at him once the ball is snapped. He's going to pull the ball. He's been pulling the ball every play. Goes to chase a running back. Very fast though, but it's just every coach has that ignorance to him. So yeah, they look at Isaiah Land like, okay, he's 6'4". He's actually the tallest 6'3" guy I've ever seen in my life.
He's lanky, bro. He is lanky.
So he's 6'4". I don't care what anybody says. He's 6'4", 240 pounds. He's probably gonna go into camp about 240 plus. I mean, that's why I comped him to Tim Williams from Alabama. because I bounced around with his comp a lot too. Isaiah Land's comp is a little difficult. I threw a Bruce Irvin thing out there. But I'm like, you know what? No, let him be an edge rusher and just make it work. Put him in a 3-4 outside linebacker scheme where he's just able to just have fun.
Yeah.
Like let the 4 eyes take all the
athletic,
and let him have fun on the edge. He shows that he could, he shows that he could drop back in coverage. Now we haven't really seen it too much in the game, but he's shown he could be decent in coverage. He has the athleticism to be decent in coverage. Okay, we'll say that. So I'm high. I think he could always climb in that aspect. I see what people see with the potential. It's like, yo, if we miss on him, goddamn. And I also want to put this out here if I move on to Aubrey. James Houston might have been the worst thing to have in Isaiah Land when it came to his draft stuff, because people want to see that again. And I'm just telling you, Isaiah Land's a really good player, but
he's not James.
Houston, that just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And I get it. Both SWAT guys, both edge rushers, both went to the big bowl games and stuff like that. Don't fall victim to that. I'm telling you, just don't do it. Isaiah Land is his own person. He's not James Houston. They are two totally different players. One is way more versatile because he was an off-ball backer that turned to edge rusher, not an edge rusher trying to become an off-ball backer after college. Okay? One has more bend than the other. And believe it or not, James Houston might be 6 foot, but his arms are 81 inches. So he can extend out and play the run better than Land a little bit. So, and like I always said, one arm is longer than two. I know people know that. So just want to put that out there. So Land is his own person. Do not put him and James Houston in that same, no, because now you're expecting Land to get a sack per game, and that's just not how it goes. So just want to put that out there. Aubrey Miller, leadership, instinctual, hard-hitting. He's just born to play football. Some guys, you just look at it like, okay, what else are you going to do? You own a business from your football money. You know what I mean? You go to college, you get a good education, you learn how to interview well, start your own business. Guess what you're going to do to feed that? So, like, you look at him like he look like he's just a football player. He walk around like this.
Yeah.
He just eats it, and you can tell like it fuels him, and you see it in his play. You see it on film. When he hits you, he hits whatever problems he had throughout his life. I don't know what it was. He hits you with all that, and I love it. When that Campbell game, he's running into these big offensive linemen's chest, man, and making plays in the backfield. I mean, that's why I say he's going to be a Ted backer. I want him to be on the Steelers. He is a Steelers Ted 3-4 inside linebacker. That is what he needs to do. He needs to go to this. He needs to be in the AFC North. I don't care where else. He just has to be good. That is his.
That's a great comp. Just be in that division.
Just be in the division. He's a he's really good at special teams, by the way, and he enjoys doing it. So that's why, I had him above Land, because at the end of the day, out of most of our prospects outside of Nugget and Bolden, Miller is probably one of the best special teams guys because he did every single special team. Every single one. Kick return, kick off, punt return, punt, field goal block. He loves it. So, like, how do you look at all that and not invite him to the combine, whatever? But still, like, you can't pass it. I don't see anybody passing up on that in an inside linebacker class that y'all could probably attest to is not that deep to me. So, I mean, you could argue he's a top 15, top 10 overall linebacker. I mean, I'll put him a little higher because, I mean, I watch him a lot. Now, I watch other guys too, but there's not 10 inside linebackers better than Aubrey Miller in this class right now. Overall, FBS to D3, no. So he's up there with me. I'd say he's at latest day 3, like a 6th, 7th round. But I mean, if a team's gonna take a shot, they're gonna take a shot. And at the end of the day, he was one of the originals that went, to Jackson with who. So it's like all those guys for the most part have gotten him a shot. I think he got CJ Holmes, got Al Young. I mean, he got guys all in the USFL, XFL. He got on the NFL. So Aubrey's going to get a shot. Jacobs Bonds. He was number 1 at one point. He was number 3. He was number 2. But then I just put him at 4 because it's about the deepness and the need. So, yes, I think a lot of teams could really use Jadakiss Bonds because when you look at him, you say, oh, yeah, he's a receiver. Like, you just look at him, 6'2", 200 plus. He just looks like a receiver. He walks like a receiver. Got the little receiver limp when he walks. Like he just looks like a wide receiver. When he runs his routes, he uses his body so well. Like, don't get me wrong, he's quick. But he's able to beat press and he can stack with just quickness and agility. But his ability to like be able to lean into a corner and just release and get separation like that and stem at the top of his route, it's beautiful for someone that big. You just want to see that's an X receiver. He's an X to me. Like you could just throw that thing deep.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
he's an X. Pure X. Probably like probably one of the better route runners at his size, believe it or not. I think his intermediate and his deep routes are really good. His short routes could be a little better because he's not the twitchiest, but he has just enough to be able to work his his shorter routes. His hands are solid. Red zone, love him. He's like one of my top red zone threats outside of Everett. I mean, the kid, he could block well. I saw him. He had him on special teams at the Shrine Bowl, so I saw the ability to do it there. He got in the mix a little bit there. So that was the biggest thing with me. Special teams acumen, special teams value. Where is it? Because he wasn't really asked to do that. I mean, you don't really want to risk the best player you probably had in 15 years on special teams. I love Hampton, by the way. I'm just mad they left the MEAC. But yeah, I missed the old MEAC. Anyway, so Jadakiss Bonds, like he's a prototypical X receiver. He's a very safe pick to me. I mean, there's so many teams I could use him. I mean, I really would love him to come, for the hometown team to take him, for Carolina to take him, because I mean, why not? I mean, imagine pairing. Say we get I don't want Richardson. Well, I mean, listen, the Carolinas, well, it looks like they're gonna trade up. So if we could get Stroud or maybe Bryce to throw the ball to Jadakiss Bonds, we good. I love it. He'll be very productive his rookie year. He could be. And then he's one of those silent assassins. He don't talk much. He line up and play football. So I like him a lot. Oh, run at the catch ability as well. Let me throw that out there. Can't forget that. A lot of his tape, he can run at the catch. Round out my top 5. This guy, he's been climbing up my charts, man. He was like number 18. Then he moved like 15. So then it's like Andrew Farmer, like he's the guy. Like he's outside of Caleb Murphy from Ferris State. He was like the top edge rusher in D2. Luber Dennis from Benedict College too. But once I heard that he's going to UT's Pro Day, I said, yeah, that happened to Josh Williams last year when he went, I think it was North Carolina State's Pro Day. So you just kind of get a sense like, okay, I think Farmer was going to end up being that guy to get drafted in probably early day 3. So I put him up there and rounded out. Honorable mention, Dallas Daniels. If you're looking for a slot receiver that's going to get the ball on 3rd and 5, that's Dallas Daniels. And he has the ability to play on the outside as well. Very good route runner. And he's actually pretty good blocker considering his size. Shaq Davis, he's hit or miss. His comp for me is Martavis Bryant. I think that's probably the best comp I can get for him. You're going to get the speed. You're going to get the spectacular catch, the deep threat. But you're also going to get those drops on the slant route. So
thank you. I'm so glad somebody said, because people like I said, I love me and my receivers, man. But he doesn't make the basic stuff look basic. Like I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're right. You're completely right. And I just want to round it out with Kamari Everett because I heard he tested very well. He tests well. I mean, not test well. He interviewed well when he's at NFLPA Bowl, and they were saying he was probably the best player out there. So, and you need big receiving tight ends. So. I like him too. So you could go ahead and on Shaq Davis if you want.
Listen, and let me say something about Andrew Farmer. I met him. That kid is solid, okay? Yeah. No homo. That kid is like, he's built like a freaking like a truck. Like, I mean, and he's so nice. He like, yes, sir. No, sir. Like he's to be that big and that man, he's dope, man. He's a good kid. Good kid. All right, let me get to mine. Coach done broke everything down. I think I probably have the weirdest list. Okay, listen.
You guys are so confused, right? Bro, Coach is about to coach.
I gotta go with Xavier Smith as number 1. And this is why. He's the only person, in my opinion, whose measurables and his testing matches the film, like hand in hand. Like it's a perfect match. 4.38, you see it on film. The stop and start, you see it on film. The explosion, you see it on film. Xavier Smith, to me, is the safest pick out of all these Bamas because I know what he is. I know what he can do, and he does it very, very well. He's like the guy that you can count on to come to work early, on time, and do his job. And listen, my comp for him is Dante Hall. Dante Hall was in the wrong era. If Dante Hall was in this era, he would be a much bigger name than you guys. I love Dante Hall. I was throwing that. He was throwing the X up before the X, for Dez. But he is the human highlight reel. Like Xavier Smith is that guy, in my personal opinion. So I love Xavier Smith. I really do. Mark Evans, you two lineman guys have gone ad nauseum about Mark Evans. I don't need to explain that. So he is what he is. Listen, I love Jadakiss Bonds. Out of the big guys, the short guys, Xavier Smith. Out the big guys, Jadakiss Bonds, because he can hit you at every level. I've seen him catch a now route and take it to the crib. I'm talking about one step, turn around, make you miss, and I'm out the gate 88. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen that. I've seen him go levels. I've seen him go high for the ball, because when you're playing big, when you're playing big like that, you want to see guys play big. And my comp for him, I know it's probably going to be a little off because this guy doesn't play big like Jadakiss. I like Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson, to me, he reminds me a lot of Allen Robinson. Very lanky, can get up the field, can make plays. But the thing that separates Jadakiss from Allen is that Jadakiss can make more plays over your head. And Allen Robinson isn't that type of guy all the time. I like guys that can go up and get the ball. Andrew Farmer, watching this kid at the Legacy Bowl every day in and day out. I mean, he is a freaking dog, like a silent killer. He ain't going to brag. He ain't going to get loud. He ain't going to talk. He ain't going to do all that. He's the kind of guy, he's going to knock you on your ass, help you up, and say, good job. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's Andrew Farmer, and I love him. Now, Aubrey Miller. I have been really hard on Aubrey and Isaiah. But Aubrey Miller, my comp for him is Dexter Coakley. That's what he reminds me of a lot. And I love Dexter Coakley. He was the neck roll. I'm coming downhill. See me, see you. You know what I'm saying? And he can get you in between the tackles. Like, I love Dexter Coakley. Dexter Coakley was 5'10", coming out of Appalachian State. I mean, they got the same build. The one thing about the 40 thing, but Dexter Coakley was very, because if you want to go even deeper, Dallas had a thing about short linebackers because they had Dat Win, and then we went Dexter Coakley, then we went Dat Win. And those guys were very instrumental in that defense during those 90s runs. So, in 2000s as well. So that's my comp. It's more Dexter Coakley. I think Dexter Coakley is a great comp for me. I love him. And the way he plays. Listen, the one thing that I disagree with Coach about is I don't think he's that intuitive as who's more the guy before him. I can't remember his name. The linebacker before him. Blue, you remember
Keontae?
Keontae.
Hampton.
Keontae was way more intuitive. Like, he could see it. He gave me the linebacker from the Panthers, that Kuechly. He gave me more of a Kuechly feel, right? To where you're like, bro, how did you know that was going to be there and you slipped the block and you're like right at the screen? Like, that's the stuff to me that made Keontae so great. Not the physical stature, not just the mindset of how he played linebacker position, because he could see it before it happened. He would be there before it happened. It was amazing. I don't see that in Aubrey. I see Aubrey as, okay, I see ball, go get ball. You're running it to the right. I'm going to run through this guard. I'm going to blow that up. You're not even there, and I'm going to tackle you. That's what I see a lot of. I don't really see the intuitive of, oh, I know this is coming backside, so let me slip this block. I'm gonna be right here for the cutback lane, and bam, I'm right there. I don't really see that in Aubrey. I see of a bull with red eyes and says, "See ball, go get ball," and nothing's going to stop me. So, if you combine those two guys, I think you got a second round pick. If I'm being honest, I think you combine Keontae's wits with Aubrey Miller's physicality and his nose for the ball, you have a second round pick easy. So that I am not as high on Isaiah Land as a lot of people. The Southeast Louisiana tape is always going to be in the back of my mind because when I needed you the most, you were a non-factor. That just bothers me. Like I know, and you made a point. He's not James Houston. He's not. I think James Houston is a hell dog. James Houston. He's the standard for me. Until I get out of the HBCU space, he's the standard for me because of his counter moves. Like he can do it all. Speed rush, bull rush, left extend, hold you, hesitate, come in. I mean, however you wanted it, he could give it to you. He had a move for the move. And I don't see that from Isaiah Land. I don't see the versatility of, okay, I'm gonna get you with the speed rush. Okay, I'm gonna hit you with the bull rush. Okay, I'm gonna chop and swipe until I'm a rip him. I don't see all that. I just see a guy who's athletic, who might do a little swipe and then kind of get around you. And I'm like, okay, when you go against a very knowledgeable or very talented tackle, that is not going to work, and you're going to have a counter move for the counter move. So that's why I'm really low on Isaiah Land. I think he'd probably be a better. Just play him as like you said, a 3-4 linebacker, fluid kind of hybrid style. Yeah. So that Dejon, he's really borderline for me. I'm very high on him. Super, super, super high on him. I just couldn't put him over Aubrey and on because of the production. I can't put you over because of the production. Like you got all the skill sets you got. I mean, like Coach Trey Oliver literally was gleaming about Dejon Nugget, talking about the Celebration Bowl, and like we weren't trying to throw at that kid. He's the best corner. He said Travis might be the most athletic, but just like corner, like you talking about, I want a pure corner. He was like, it's Nugget. It's not even close. So, you can see the talent, you see the skill set. He just doesn't have the production behind him for me to put him over any of these guys on the list. And Kamari Everett, y'all have said enough about that. Kamari Everett is Kamari Everett. You know what I'm saying? So it's enough said on that. But listen, man, like y'all gonna stop disrespecting my receivers, right? Like this is an offensive game, all right? Now,
I had Jadakiss the higher than everybody here.
You did.
Listen,
he did.
Yeah, but he should be. Oh no,
he should be number one. I will say with Nugget though, I will say like I probably would have had him. To me, this could be. I don't see him playing corner at the next level. If he's going to be successful in the NFL, he's going to have to move back to safety.
I think he's a better safety. I think he's a better safety than he is a corner.
Yes.
Not because he can't play the technique, because he's a better ball hawk. Like he sees the ball. So he plays it like a receiver. He sees the ball really well. So I think making him a center fielder fits his style more than just focusing on one guy and what he does. I mean, he can play it. If you need him to do it, he can do it. But he kind of reminds me of, I know you guys will probably be like, what? He reminds me a lot of Trayvon Diggs, right? And the reason I say that is because I think Trayvon's a better safety than he is a DB. Like, because he's too, I think Nugget is more disciplined than Trayvon. Trayvon is not a disciplined DB. I don't care what you want to say. He's not disciplined. He has that Travis Hunter type feel, right? To where you're not good as me. If I see the ball, I'm going to jump it. I'm going the other way. That's just what Trayvon Diggs in naturally. But I think him as a free safety, it would be unreal. Because you couldn't throw it over. If you and your receiver is going against Trayvon Diggs, I'm taking Trayvon Diggs every time, other than maybe DK Metcalf and maybe DeAndre Hopkins. But other than that, Trayvon Diggs is coming down with that ball. I mean, freebie up in the air, I'm taking that all day long because he's a former wide receiver, went to Maryland, from Maryland. Shout out DMV, good with me. You know what I'm saying? Just want to make sure throw that little caveat there. We got ball.
I think you're right on the mindset. I'm with you on that. I don't know if the game would necessarily be just because it's so tough, because Trayvon went from wide receiver to corner. Like Nuggets, like a defensive back at heart, but Diggs was a wide receiver. So I think that's where that kind of that disconnect with him is in terms of being a pure corner. Is that, I mean, if you remember, he was a dominant wide receiver. I mean, he's what, a 5-star wide receiver when he got to Bama?
I think he was. I thought if he was,
he was 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a 4.
And so I think that's kind of where you get the like. He's like, man, listen, I still want to catch. He's still got that wide receiver mindset as a corner.
Yeah.
He's like the ball's intended for him. And I think that's the issue. So like I think the mindset is similar, but I'm trying to think like, I'm trying to think of a good.
I got some people in the chat. Somebody says Xavier Howard, Charles Woodson. I definitely disagree with that one.
I don't like. Okay, I got a rule. Hear me out, because I saw the comp for Aubrey in the chat. And I thought about it for like half a second, but I don't compare players to Hall of Famers.
Yeah, I made my mistake early in my.
Yeah, I don't do that. Like someone put Zach Thomas in the chat.
No.
And I'm just like, I can't. It's like because it's clicked because I was thinking undersized linebackers who might not are hyper athletic. Zach Thomas was that, but their games are so different. Like I hate comparing guys. Like when people are like coming out like he's the next Tom Brady, he's the next Patrick. It's like, bro, please stop doing that.
Yeah,
pick someone like reasonable. Like he's probably not the next Tom Brady.
That's why I gave him Lawrence Timmons. So okay, I'll answer this.
Come on, D Lyman. Talk to me.
With all due respect, the offense, I don't want people to fall in love with that stuff, that legacy bowl from the interior, because the offensive line play was so bad, to an extent where it's like we made decent, really pretty good players look first round gradage. So the thing about Cam, I think Cam he has the build. I mean, he's all 6'5", 280 pounds. You want to see that from a 3-4 defensive end because that's what he would play. He'll be a 4-eye guy. But little things like his pad level, how he defeats double teams, and, it just comes to the simple thing of he has really long arms, but for some reason, offensive linemen are consistently getting to his chest. But outside of that, he is a really decent run defender because he's strong. And when it comes to his pass rushing, if he doesn't get you with the first move, then he's probably not going to bring a second, third. But I think Cam is a solid option. I think he'll probably be like a USFL pickup or something like that. If someone wants to give a chance on a 6'5", 280 pound plus defensive lineman, and he looks like the part, sure. But drafted in the NFL, no, I can't. I can't say that would be the.
You know what? What's funny that you said, like, we talked to an agent. Me and Blue talked to an agent, and the agent literally said the same thing. And I was so surprised that they said that, because I'm just like, because I was just like, well, he's a big guy, he can play outside if you want him to. He can play inside. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can kind of like, you can be very versatile with him. And what he reminded me of was like a David Irving with the Cowboys. I know I'm using a lot of Cowboys pictures. I watch a lot of Cowboys film. You know what I'm saying? But it's just that, we use David inside, outside, you know what I'm saying, depending on where we wanted to do it with. But you saying that being a former defensive lineman is really making me like, wow, I got to go back and watch some Southern games, because I'm like, the size alone and the length, you would just be like, how could he not?
I just look at hand placement, man. It's so important, because if I tell my guys with shorter arms, like, if you get your hands in first, you control the distance. I mean, that's just natural. So my thing is, people are getting to his chest too much. And then when the interior guys from team Robinson went up against Robert Mitchell, the story's a little different. Now, I want people to really look back at the game if they can. Look at when the explosion of all the sacks really happened. It was that second group team gave the offensive line. And you know what?
Except for my guy Dumas. Dumas was out there cooking Mitchell too.
Well, kind of. It was fighting.
So hey, for a 5'9" guy, he gets the credit.
I'm gonna give it to you. I love Mitchell to death, so I'm gonna fight for Mitchell, because Mitchell is, if anyone not named Mark Evans, he's like, he's the second best.
I feel he's definitely the second best O lineman in like HBCU guys. Yeah,
hands down. So I mean, speaking of RB, his comp for me was Lawrence Timmons. That's him.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, that's.
And I got a Cowboys comp in my in the draft guys. Actually, he played at Alcorn. Claudin. He's I compliment.
Shirless? Yeah, I love him. I love Shirless.
Justin Durant. from Hampton.
Oh, okay, all right.
I like him too. Like, I'm surprised he's not getting more.
He's so versatile. Oh, he's so versatile.
Dre Terry got drafted in the USFL before.
Claude, I thought that was crazy. Now, I love Dre. Dre is a dog. I like Dre, but I like Claude,
Claude
way more than
Claude's
Dre Terry. He is just he's everywhere. He's literally everywhere.
He's Zoe too. You know how that goes. They play them football. They play some football. Like,
Also,
no, you go ahead.
No, not like with like the chat and people are like, what about this guy? What about this guy? Like, bro, I mean, we talk about this all the time. I think people forget it. I don't think people understand how few picks you're really fighting for. I mean, like, when you got Georgia's going to get 10 to 15 guys drafted, LSU's going to have 8 to 12, Bama's going to have 7 to 13, Oklahoma's going to have 6, Kentucky will have probably 3 or 4. Like, there's 256 picks in the draft, and like 250. I mean, like 225 are going to P5 kids.
Yeah, that's being nice. I mean,
I'm
granted,
about to say,
yeah,
because I mean,
and think about the D2, D3,
FCS.
You know what I'm saying? Like that you know you're gonna have those onesies, twosies like Mount Union Baptist Christian. Where is it?
In all fair, I don't, you know, Blue, am I bugging? Didn't seem like this doesn't seem like a lot of FCS products from all over getting talked about outside of maybe 4 guys that's outside of HBCU. It doesn't seem like it's a lot this year. Like, I didn't see a lot in the combine.
Malk is going to go first, probably first or second round.
Okay.
Out of North Dakota, which that's fair because the kid's a freak.
No, yeah,
is an offensive lineman. Tucker Kraft will go day 2 early. The tight end from South Dakota State, a freak again. You'll probably get the kid from Sacramento State, the box safety who moved down to linebacker. Marte Mapu is a guy who is going to get drafted just because of his pure athleticism. I'm trying to think in terms of,
seem like it's a lot, you know.
No, because there's a lot of guys who are getting looked, but I think the combine kind of slacked up. Like, they invited the tight end from North Dakota State, which it is what it is, but he's been fighting a lot of injuries, so he couldn't really work out. Hunter Lipke went to the combine. He couldn't work out. That's the fullback who's probably going to get drafted from North Dakota State. But the problem with FCS, same with like HBCU, is really and truly like the guys who are the top prospects all came back. For the most, like, there's a lot of guys who are going to be like the draft class next year for HBCU and FCS. It's going to be stupid.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy. Oh my God. I'm looking.
And we're going to talk about that as well going forward. But let's get into your top 10, coach. And then we'll get into our top 2024 prospects of next year. Let me bring this up really quick. All right, coach, break them on down. Your top 10.
All right, so we went through most of them already. We went through Mark Evans. He's my number 1. We went through Isaiah Land, Aubrey Miller. Did I give the comps? I gave the comp. Jadakiss Bonds comp, me and Malik came up. Well, he actually came up with it. I just loved it. He liked Chris Henry. I can see the length, the ability to be like, you know, toe drag swag on the sideline, the nice strong hand. He plucks it out the air. I could see that when Malik said that, I was like, oh yeah, I'm not touching that. Like, you did your thing with that one. Andrew Farmer, outside of that, I didn't know he was this kind of. That's what I'm saying. That the testing and the film was like, hold on, because on film, I mean, he doesn't look as fast and as athletic. Like, you know, he runs down the line of scrimmage and he chases the ball down the line of scrimmage. You can see he has some quickness, but I had him as a Michael Bennett comp, because he's just so stout against the run. I mean, him and Mark Evans were battling for 2 years in a row. Like, Lane and Prime Bluff film is still on YouTube, I think. Like, watch the game. I mean, they were going at it. It wasn't – Mark won the one-on-one, but it wasn't easy. So I'm like, okay, I like the kid. So I really maybe, like, last year I really started watching him when he went against Mark Evans. I was like, okay, let me look at this kid again. I said, okay, yeah, I see it. Dallas Daniels, I get his comp was Harry Douglas. From the Falcons back in the day. Shaq Davidson and Martavis Bryant, Kamari Everett. Oh, man, I was so in between on his comp because, like, it's so many, I don't know, how do you say it? There's so many big guys that can catch the rock. So I was thinking Bennett, but Bennett I was really thinking Bennett. I was like, wait, no, because Bennett was like a crazy he was a crazy run blocker. So then I was like, okay, I'm trying to think of some guys that are like more receiver based, and then I was like, Then I was what's the guy from the Packers, man? How I forget his name already?
Antonio,
the big guy, man.
You talking about Sharp? No. Darn it.
Jesus. The big. He's still playing, man. He played for the Packers.
Is it Tunyon?
No, Lord.
I don't know.
And when I figure out when the name comes to my head, y'all gonna be like, oh, okay.
The chat probably gonna hit us with it, but go ahead.
But nah, I gave him Jarrell Adams that played for the Giants. It's just strictly because I don't see the strength as a
Mercedes Lewis.
There we go, Mercedes Lewis.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, but that's why I originally said that Mercedes Lewis is a really good blocker, so I got to find someone that's like good with solid receiver, but an okay blocker. So I was like Jarrell Adams. I look back at the tape when he played with the Giants. Really good hands, though. I mean, good hands, knows how to use his body. Really good red zone threat. It's just the blocking versus defensive linemen that are equal size to you. Now, when you go against linebackers, like you saw him ever did the, Shiloh. I mean, you go against someone that side, he's gonna kill that. Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah. But when you go against big defensive linemen, that's where he struggled a bit. Isaiah Bolden, Coach Nooks did his comp. He gave him Greedy Williams. I think Bolden he's a hard one for me. It's like teams I think are gonna go for him because he does have that. I mean, he was a top recruit, Power 5 guy, came down, dealt with some injury, but it's like, okay, there's a 6'2" corner sitting right here that performed very well in NFLPA Bowl.
4.3 speed.
4.3 speed, and he could kick and punt return. So it's like, do I want to let someone else take that? Probably not. So I'm thinking someone's going to go for him. He gave him Greedy Williams. I couldn't find a real good comp for him because I don't know anybody his size that was that good as a kick returner and a corner or D-back. I kept trying to think, so I just let Coach Nooks handle it. He gave him Greedy Williams just from the defensive back perspective. And my guy that's going to end up in someone's NFL camp, Keyshawn Moore from Hampton. 6'2", 280 pounds, 4.7 40, 35 plus on the bench. 4.3 was it 4.3? Well, he said 4.4 or 4.3 shuttle.
Oh,
I mean,
he's so good.
I mean, Lackawanna kid. For those that don't know, Lackawanna Community College produces the best HBCU football player from the JUCO level. Savion Williams, I believe Tyler Long went there. Nugget. I mean, they have produced some really good HBCU athletes. So I love Keyshawn Moore. I heard some talk about him possibly moving to fullback too. Everybody wants the next Pat Ricard. Cool. People, including me, when I actually talked to him and asked him, like, yo, I just say, yo, you never looked that big on film. He looked 250, 240, 255-ish. He was a linebacker. He said he was playing like maybe 15, 20 pounds, a little less than that. He was a linebacker at one point. And then when he was at Lackawanna, he was like 230 pounds. He wasn't even that big. So I like Keyshawn Moore because of versatility, because he can play the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, he can play everything. He can play linebacker, and you want to put him at fullback?
Go ahead.
He's not sleeping to get into someone's camp. And then, there's other guys on the list. I have a whole list of, like top 20. But a lot of guys that y'all have on there would have been like my 11 to 20. So I don't want anybody to take a slight. I know you love your receivers, but I do have 3. So that's good.
I appreciate that. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Coach. And listen, if you guys want the full in-depth of draft HBCU players, I just put the link in the chat. If you want to see all Coach and Malik's and their whole comp, their whole draft guide, this is a for us, by us draft guide. So please make sure you go support. It is only $15. Okay. It has great stuff in it. I wish I could. Let me see if I can pull it up so you guys can see what it looks like when you get it. Let me see. Just of how dope they did this thing. All right, let me see. If you don't mind, Coach, let me pull this up for you.
No, do your thing.
Oh, access denied. What you mean? I bought this thing. Oh, no.
Well, Scotty gets that figured out, Coach. I had to pull up my list of FCS guys because all day I've been doing research on HBCU guys for the show. You got McClendon Curtis from Chattanooga, the offensive lineman that was at the Senior Bowl in the Combine. getting a lot of hype. Izovas from Princeton is flying up draft.
Oh my God, that boy
Bro, man, he at 6'3", 200+ pounds, setting the 60-meter record.
Yeah, that's
flying and can catch. And then you got Justin Ford from Montana, who I think is completely underrated as a defensive back. I mean, there's a chance I think he could be the best defensive back in the whole FCS class this upcoming year. I mean, he's that good.
So this is the draft guide, guys. I mean, they go into in-depth breakdowns of comps and everything. I won't give you all of it because you must be screenshotting and sharing and content. But that's pretty much what it looks like, guys. I'm telling you, I'm talking about quarterbacks, linebackers, running backs, whatever you think, whoever you could possibly think of is probably in this draft guide. It won't hurt you. Go support, man. Like I said, for us, by us, a full HBCU draft guide of where they see these guys going, their comps and everything like that. And I'm sorry, let me just say this because I see that DJ. I am not a fan. Okay, they got from boy. Listen, you talking about somebody I am not a fan of? Is that guy? When I seen him, I saw him. I'm like, nah, I'm good. But you guys do your due diligence though. Listen.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew that this wasn't next year's quarterback class is going to be. Oh, come on, I'm
so ready for Davius to come out. Yeah, I'm so ready.
We're good. You know what I mean? So this is like this is an interesting quarterback class. We all know next year is our bread and butter. We got dudes talking about the next year.
All right, here we go, guys. Listen, appreciate you guys for tuning in all the way through. Top 2024 prospects. Me and Blue have a list. Coach G is just going. The guru in him is just going to shoot it out to you. You got to go do the rest of the work. All right, and go find him and go talk about him and see what he says. Also, listen, Sunday night, the Girls Need Girls show by Key and Robin will be moved to Friday at 7. Okay, I'm gonna make another announcement tomorrow doing my morning show, but just want to make that clear. Here we go. These are my top prospects for 2024. All right, I got Davius Richards. Listen, he's a winner, baby. Winners win. Okay, winners win. Still want. I want to see that progression come a little bit more with the passing, but at the end of the day, the guy's a winner. Jarvion Howard is a walking day 2 pick. I mean, he is a walking day 2 pick, in my opinion. If he can have the same production he had this year, next year, with even more, with Alcorn really winning, crazy. Niles Gaddy, I have been super critical of Niles, but he has gotten better every year, and he has the measurables that if he has a great production year this year, you could see him go day 2, day 3. Isaiah Major, listen, this kid is everywhere, bro. That number 0 is freaking everywhere. I love Isaiah Major. And last but not least, I know Coach G is going to talk about this kid through the galore. Aneem Dankwa, I hope I am pronouncing that right. Aneem or Aneem? Dankwa. Okay, Dankwa. I'm not even gonna go into it. Coach is going. He's gonna galore. He's gonna drool over him. So I'm gonna let him go after Blue. Blue, it's on you.
Yeah, Richard. Listen, come on, bro. Like he's gonna be the talk of everybody coming out in terms of HBCU prospects. I got Jarvion Howard up there too. As a running back, man, he's got the power, got the breakaway speed, can be that every down back, and he can pass block. And that's so important, man. Listen, if you can't pass block nowadays, the hype around you is going to go way down. Niles Gaddy, too, his versatility, his length. And I think Niles is in an interesting spot because we've seen Isaiah come out. We've seen James come out. There's been so many questions about their measurables. Niles Gaddy's checked the boxes for all the measurables.
Facts.
So if Isaiah goes and produces, NFL teams are going to say Niles Gaddy, who's coming out with all the measurables, is going to be a no-brainer pick.
Yeah.
And he played half the season last year, hurt. I talked to the Gaddys. I told him I need 10 plus sacks this year. That should be the goal. That should be the minimum. It's 10 sacks next year for Jackson. I also got Kenny Gallup Jr. Howard. I went back and forth with him and Aneem, but I knew Coach G was going to bring him. But man, Kenny Gallup at safety. But this kid
Yes.
It should be a no-brainer pick.
He got Buddha Picker written all over him to me.
Man, that was exactly who I was thinking too. He can play everywhere if he needs to, and he is everywhere. When you watch his tape, and then Sundiata Anderson, man, he could have came out this year really and truly. And Coach, me and you had him on the episode we did this summer. We both agree, probably one of the best run stopping defensive linemen in the SWAC, if not the best. And if he can take another step forward with his pass rush, he's got the measurables. Him and Niles Gaddy, listen, the path that James Houston and Isaiah Land have had to fight for, Anderson and Gaddy are going to walk right into day two. Just creep in there. They have to do no work. So I love all these guys, and I think Aneem's right there too. So yeah, these are my 5 guys for the HBCU prospects.
I want to say something before we get to Coach. I said, and I think I was right about that. I said Sandata. If you remember, I said Sandata will have a better year than Isaiah Land. And, I'm just not going to say like it did. But go ahead, Coach. Your top 2024 prospects.
I'm just going to throw a few names out. Not too many. But, I mean, it's funny. When you asked this question earlier, I was like, oh, wow. I already started making some lists. So I was like, let me just read off some of my list. Oh, before I do that, just Jada Byers, just to yes, I'm a Unionite, but I'm telling you, if y'all like Tariq Cohen, he is the Division II version of Tariq. And he runs legit in between the tackles. I mean, Unions are running. We're running school. Like, that's what we do. We don't throw the rock like that. We run the rock. Now he's legit 5'7", probably about 180 plus pounds probably. But I'm telling you, when that Hall of Fame game comes, the first Black college football game of the year, when we play Morehouse, when you see this guy on live television, because a lot of people haven't seen him on live television. When he was in Jersey, he ran. They said he scored 10 touchdowns in the game. Some crazy number. The kid is just like that. Just putting that out there. So I'm not saying he's number 1 or 5, but he's the best running back in HBCU football since last year. And yes, he does.
Wow,
that's
fast.
ridiculous.
Wow.
So I don't know how Union was able to keep him for 3 years. But we have him, and we're RBU in Black college football. No one can beat. Put it out. All right. So Ramel Harris Freeman from Delaware State.
Ooh, I like that.
6'4", might be 6'5". He plays corner and safety. He is. I already got a comp for him. Me and Coach Nuts already comped. He's Trey Flowers. Remember the name, Ramel Harris Freeman, because we work with the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame for the Aeneas Williams Award. We worked with them last year, so we worked with Khalil Baker and him getting selected. So that was amazing. So we're gonna come out with a list for DB soon. But I just want to Kenny Gallup, like y'all said, Karan Prunty from A&T. Want y'all to look at Ronte Dunbar.
Oh, you like that. Yeah, he came from Kansas, right?
Yep, I love him. I love him. He's gonna get drafted. Just putting that out there. Khalil Baker, he comes out next year. That's Rich's teammate. Then we had, let's see who we got. If I'm not mistaken, I think Davis might be draft eligible next year. Devontae Davis. Does he have one more year, Blue?
Yeah. It's just one more year, so he's eligible next year.
Devontae Davis is draft eligible next year. I just saw him front squat 400 times. The kid, Blue. We agree when it comes to our line thing. We pretty much agree on damn near everything. Devontae Davis is our guy. Like I know the stats didn't show it, but that's why you got to watch film.
I don't care about a defensive tackle stats. What you doing on film? Like, listen, that's why Aubrey's got 100+ tackles because Devontae Davis is out there helping them,
bro. Hey, listen, Coach. I don't know. Like from day one, people was like, "Oh, Scotty." I said, "Listen, Devontae Davis is the superstar." Blue, how many times every week we'll get on here and say,
you would catch flag.
The superstar of the D-line. Yeah. I said, I don't care about nobody else you talking about. It's Devontae Davis, because if you can't block him, the rest of them guys don't have nothing to worry about because Devontae going to wreck shop on you every day. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
On everything. He's like a combo blocker destroyer. I love watching him play. So there's some names I know some people might have forgot about a couple names. Darian Brokenberg. He's kind of having a bounce back season. That's I like him. Jablonski Green Jr. He got hurt. I know people were a little underwhelmed with his performance this past year. Don't sleep on. Don't sleep on it. Just don't sleep on it. Please, I'm begging y'all. Okay. I got Niles Gaddy, Kamari Stevens. I want to see it again. I just want to see it again. I just want to see, make sure it wasn't just a one trick pony kind of. I want to see it again. Who else we got? Oh, let's run off some of these amazing lines. I tweeted this earlier. We got Colton Adams. He's draft eligible. Isaiah Major. He's draft eligible. Monroe Beard. He transferred to Tennessee State. He's draft eligible. Lawrence Richardson from Morgan State. He's draft eligible. Jalen Campbell, draft eligible. Keyshawn Johnson from Prairie View, draft eligible. Geronte Davis from Jackson State. Now that Aubrey left, it's your show, brother. Yeah. He's draft eligible. And then, of course, Aneem Donk. And then it's like, I mean, Donk was. I'm a D-line guy. I just love seeing. I love seeing big offensive linemen that just like. When it's almost like he's plucking. Me and Blue was sitting right next to each other at the MEAC SWAC challenge, and that's all we said the whole game. If they run to the left, they get positive yards every time, and they put him at right guard this year too. Dog at 6'8", 360. Yo, he's the guy. Now Jarvis Howard, he's another one. That's a good pick. That's actually a really solid pick. And I just want to throw this out here. If Maurice Washington would have came back for another year, he would have been my number one overall prospect. Hands down. Yeah, I heard it was Grays. That's why he jumped early. Let me ask you this, right? Two questions. One, the guy you have on your shirt. He's from Fort Valley State, correct? Yeah, Emmanuel Wilson. Do you think he came out too early or did he get too much of a big head? Because he was a junior. That he came out early. Most HBCU players do not do that. Mm-hmm. So, what have you been hearing? I haven't heard much buzz about him. He didn't come to the Legacy Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So what? People like him. I'm just being honest with you. He looks like an NFL back. He's legit 5'11", 230 pounds. And he just moves forward. And he's a one-cut guy. He can catch the ball in the backfield, but at the end of the day, that wasn't a big thing in the offense. He didn't have to do that too often. He's been a pure solid running back, power back that has breakaway speed. He's like we comped him to Latavius Murray. It's like, okay, you can catch the ball at the back. Wow. But we know what your game is. You're gonna go this way. You're gonna see the gap, plant your foot, hit the gap. And I'm cool with that. I mean, I think for him, when at the NFLPA Bowl, they said he did really good. I mean, he started. He got first team reps. I mean, they like him a lot. In pass protection, he's better than most of the other guys. I think that separated him from Higgins. Higgins is fast, better hands, same kind of one-cut guy with speedster. But he couldn't pass block that as well as Wilson. So you got a 5'11", 230, possible 3-down back that could pass block. Not that much wear and tear on your body because I don't think he has that many career carries, to be honest with you. So it's like, okay, why not? He could have gone back, but end of the day, he still would have been what? I mean, he wasn't even the best back in HBCU football this year. It was Jada Byers. You know what I mean? And then next year would have been Jada Byers, and now you got Jarvis Howard. And it would have been Tootin, but he ended up going to Virginia Tech somewhere. He ended up going somewhere. Yeah, I think it was Virginia Tech. Yeah, Virginia Tech. So I mean, he could have fought for the number one spot for this upcoming year, but he came out. He was a Shrine Bowl preseason watch list guy. I mean, people were interested in him. So I mean, I know they're in his ear. So I mean, I don't blame him for coming out. I think he did the right thing. And my last question for South Carolina State, I want to BJ Davis and Jablonski Green. Those two, because I'm really high on BJ Davis. I know he went to the portal. I don't know where he's Wake Forest. He went to Wake Forest. But where do you see BJ Davis and Jablonski? I think Jablonski, I love his hands. I love his movement. I love his tenacity. He's a little undersized, but I love BJ Davis. Like, I really do. He kind of reminds me of, and just off the top, not really watching film, he's like a Raekwon Smith, real slim type, can kind of do a lot of things. But what do you see about BJ Davis? I'm going to say this as nice as I can. Uh-oh. I watch football with my dad on the weekend. Hall of Fame linebacker from Morgan.
thought he went to
Reese
Wake
and
or must have decommitted.
Oh yeah, he did go to East Carolina. You know, he's there with Tyler King. He's there with Tyler King at from North Carolina A&T. BJ Davis he would be honestly BJ Davis might have had 200 tackles this year if he would have just made the tackle. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, he's not a good tackler for inside linebacker. I mean, he's a good tackler for. No, I can't even say that because everything's in the open field. You need that. You can't have your tackle rate. If you believe in PFF stats, I believe his missed tackle rate was like 15% or something. So I'm gonna check. I can check again, but that's big for me. Like he just missed a lot of tackles. Now is he instinctual as hell when it comes to his pass and pass coverage?
Oh, he's crazy.
Oh, yeah, he's a great pass. Let's see his. Okay, so this proves my point. His career missed tackle percentage according to PFF is 17.6.
Gee.
That. So I guess I looked it up just to see what that. So you want your linebackers at 5% ish, 8, like elite back, like the elite backers are hitting like 2-3%.
Yeah,
it's like Patrick Willis in his prime. Luke Kuechly ain't missed a damn tackle. So you see guys like that. Now, 17% just concerns me a bit. It's like, dang, like, and it was just, and you know what made it worse? They played these Power 5 opponents, and that's South Carolina State's bread and butter for how we sell you to get to the league. We're gonna play the top team. Well, not at least we're gonna play an FBS schedule at the beginning of the year. You're gonna play South Carolina or Clemson, UCF, whoever. They're gonna play 2 FBS schools a year.
Listen,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
You're right. That UCF game was bad for him. It was. I mean, it was bad. You talk about some Isaiah Lamb bad tape. Hey, that UCF, and I watched it from beginning to the end. I'm like, yo, BJ, where are you, bro? Like, I'm talking about people in the backfield. And he's just sliding off. I'm like, yo. Yeah, so hey, now that you bring it up, it did kind of come back to me. That's what the Florida game was.
Yeah, he's good in coverage, but his tackling ability has to grow. And that conference he went to, they like to play in space. So we gotta see. As we gonna see. That's fine. I like BJ though. I'm not.
I get you.
But it's just I love HBCU guys, and I know there are times where I can be a little like
Homer.
So I gotta sometimes I gotta bring myself down and just be realistic. Like, yeah, I love him, but he can't. If he can't tackle, he can't tackle. That don't mean I hate him or don't like him. He's not a good tackler right now.
No, that's fair.
He's also gonna be a grad student, so
that's fair. Any other questions, Blue, before we get up out of here?
No, I know who your number 1 running back prospect is going to be next year. Your boy Isaiah is coming out of South Dakota State at running back.
Hey, that boy different. Okay.
6'2", 220.
I like him.
It can move.
What about the black kid? What's it? Amir? What's his name?
He's a sophomore.
I like
or
him.
A junior. So he has 2 years.
I like him more. I like because I think they're like lightning, like thunder and lightning, and I think the black kid's lightning. Like the Isaiah kid's thunder. You know what I'm saying? But the kid behind him, he's special.
Amar and Isaiah are going to be ignorant together this year. It's their 2nd straight year playing in the backfield together.
Oh God, that kid's different. I love that kid. He is Kobe Johnson.
That's the running back from North Dakota State that had 3 rushing touchdowns against Incarnate Word.
Gotcha.
He's a dog too. Yeah, he's coming out. And then South Dakota State's got like 18 guys. The Yankee twins are coming out next year at wide receiver.
Yeah.
You got 4 offensive linemen that are probably draft eligible for them coming out next year. You got all the linebackers coming out that are all probably going to be top FCS prospects. I mean, South Dakota State next year, I don't know what the record is for guys drafted in a single year from FCS, but they can make a push for it.
That's nice. That's special, man. Hey, listen, Coach G, man, we appreciate you for coming on, man. We wanted to bring football back. It's been a lot of talk about a lot of stuff, but we knew if we brought you on, it ain't gonna be nothing but football, and more football. Where can people catch you at, Coach?
Draft HBCU on Twitter. Please follow Draft HBCU on Twitter. I'm also Coach _Huggins Junior on Twitter, same thing on Instagram, and Draft HBCU. If you just put in Draft HBCU, I mean, you can find us. We're not hard to find. Make sure you support the draft guide. It's on our website, drafthbcplayers.com. But yeah, we're up and running, man. I'm taking a little break because that draft guide took a lot out of me the past few months. So I'm taking a little break, going to focus on my baseball. But I'll be back when the draft, after the draft, and hopefully my pick of I have 6. That's my heart number. It's 6, but my brain is saying they're only going to go 4. So I'm putting it out there now.
After the draft, we'll bring you back on, talk about, who got snubbed and who should have been where and all that type of stuff, and see, priority free agents and where some of these kids might land and how they'll fit the system. Let's have fun. First HBCU player off the board. Coach G, who you got?
It better be Mark. It better be Mark. I mean, it has to be. It has to be Mark.
Okay.
What do y'all think?
I'm going with Xavier. I'm going with Xavier Smith. I just think he's just too dynamic not to be taken off the board.
Draft him first?
Yeah. I think he's going to be like third round. He could be third. He could be as high as third round, third or fourth round. His height is what's going to scare a lot of people off. But if you love him, you'll go get him. Go ahead.
Are you picking him over Tank Dell?
No.
Come on. I'm at this. If you're not picking him over
I
Tank
love
Dell,
him, but I'm not picking him over Tank Dell. I'm sorry.
Like, if you pick him over Tank Dell, that means you think because Dell is going second.
Yes.
Some people talking about he's moving even high. He's going second. So if you're taking him over Tank, that means you think that Zay's going first or early second round.
And he's not. There's a 0% chance. There's a negative percent.
He's not going that high. I know he's not going that. But this is the thing, though, right? This is the thing. If you put Xavier Smith in Houston's offense, they probably go. X could probably get 800 to 900 yards just to say. Because think about Rashawn McCoy was his quarterback last year. He didn't get those opportunities. And then when he finally gets Musa, it's literally him. It's all they had. Listen, every week I would come on here and say, if you don't stop Xavier Smith, the game is over. Like you don't have a chance to win. So every team could just literally load up against Xavier because they weren't going to run the ball effectively. There was no second option for Xavier. And I'm not saying that, Tank Dell isn't special because he's special. Great route runner, great deep threat, great stop. But I think people are disrespecting Xavier Smith because of the situation that he was in for the last 2 years. And you see how special, even in the situation, he still made lemonade out of lemons. So you can't ignore the production of Tank Dell, 1,000-yard receiver, back-to-back years. You can't ignore that. All I'm saying is if you put Xavier in the same option, could he have not gotten the same thing? And I believe he could have. I honestly believe he could have. That's just my personal opinion.
I don't disagree with you, but I don't think NFL teams are going to you can't think like that if you're a franchise because it's like you got to see it. I agree. But it's just been but if you're talking about over Tank Dell, no way. But I think there's a chance he could be the first guy drafted. I still am going to ride with Mark for right now. I think someone I told Scotty before the show, someone might reach on Isaiah just because of his potential. If you said, if they love you, they're going to try to go get you. Possibly Isaiah, but I'm gonna rock with Mark right now. Possibly Isaiah or Xavier as the other two options.
But isn't Tank Dell 5'8"?
It doesn't matter.
I'm just asking because
he's 5'8" and I forgot what the other part of it was.
So I think he's 5'8" and a quarter or something like that. Yeah. And my thing is this, right? I'm not once again. Xavier's faster. That's what measurable. That's what the test is. Now, I ain't gonna lie. He the fastest 4.55 guy I've ever seen in my life. I ain't even gonna hold you. That is straight Jerry Rice football speed. Cause I'm this is the fastest 4.55 guy I've ever seen in my life. Cause he rarely gets ran down. You know what I'm saying? You have to take a hard angle to go get Tank Dell. It just is what it is. I'm that's some different type of 4.5. But X is bigger. In the world of small guys, that's saying something. Okay, in the world of small guys, X is bigger. He's more explosive. I think he has better stop and start. than Tank. The production just isn't there. Now, like you said, if you like a guy, you're going to make all the reasons to go get him early. And if you don't like a guy, you're going to make all the excuses to get him late. But
Well,
go ahead.
I'm going to tell you real quick what a scout told me about Xavier Smith. He said, verbatim, when you're 5'9", 170 pounds, and you're not a damn near – if we don't think your special teams value is that high and you're 5'9", 170 receiver, and your FBS receivers that's 5'9", 170 have to do something more special. I think Zay can do it, but is he – now even Tank – now watch Tank Dell, he was a punt returner and a kicker. So that's the difference. So that's what if Xavier Smith was a full-time punt returner, kick returner, wide receiver for FAMU for the past 3-4 years, we're having a different discussion.
That's real.
But the special teams, man, they said that's the only knock on Zay.
But see, the issue is when you got Jamar Shareed, who is a perennial, like you still like what do you know, like FAMU, but anything 5'10" and below is a FAMU target, right? That's what they love. I love me some 5'10" guys and below. So you got Shareed, who is just as good, but he's not as effective as a receiver. So just like you said earlier, I don't want to get my main guy hurt on a punt return and kick return when I got Shareed that can do the same thing and do it better. You know what I'm saying? So it's like to me, listen, it's the same thing I feel about Isaiah Land. FAMU did not do him any services by not allowing him to play linebacker every now and again just to get the tape. You know what I'm saying? So Xavier needed the tape. Like, it's just like with anything else, you need the tape. So I agree with you. You know what I'm saying? Tank Dell, I've seen the punt returns, I've seen the kick returns, special kid. But I'm just like, if I'm being honest, I like Xavier. I like Xavier. It's just, I don't know. I like Xavier more than Tank Dell. I just do. I think Xavier plays with a physicality that I do not see. Tank is a diva. That's how I see diva in Tank. He doesn't act like a diva, but he plays like a diva, right? He's not like X will run through you. X will put his head, boom, I'm not going out of bounds. Tank Dell is like, okay, I got the catch, and he'll make a move, and then he'll dive down. You've seen it. Don't act like you haven't seen it. Tank Dell.
I'm with you. I'm not picking a slot receiver over an X. So that's why Jada will be first before. I'm picking Jada. Sadly, I'm picking Shaq. I'm sorry. I'm not picking a slot receiver before X. So that's just me. So Tank Dell, the only reason I will pick him because, okay, yeah, you're a slot. But I can throw you a punt return. You might be able to get some good field position. I'm not sure about that with Xavier just yet. I know with Xavier, with Jadakiss Bonds and Shaq Davis, like Shaq Davis, I know I'm going to get. You're going to probably drop the slant route maybe 2 out of 5 times. But you're damn sure going to catch that 80-yard bomb. And if we so happen to get in the red zone, you're going to get a touchdown. I'll deal with it. Yeah. Jadakiss Bonds, he does everything. He can do anything you want. Zay, it's hard on him. It's hard on him, man. It's just hard. I'm sorry to break my short guys.
Let me ask you this: if Xavier and I threw this to Blue right before we came on, I said, if Xavier plays at Clemson, is he not a better Hunter Renfrow?
Damn. I mean, from just pure athleticism and the ability to get open, I mean, they get open different ways. I'll say that. Zay is just way faster than most of the people that cover him. And he has way more explosion at the top of his routes than most people. So Hunter knows how to get open with what they'll call deceptive speed. He just knows angles, and he just knows when. His timing is impeccable. Zay is just like, I'm faster than you, silly. Leave me. You're not. Like, you watch the practices. It was like, damn, he's that much quicker than everybody here. He making dudes fall, and I'm just like, okay. I was like, okay. So yes, I understand that aspect of it. It's just, oh God, I feel for Zay, man. I really do feel for him because like he's not high on my list based on what I'm hearing from other people. Now, so it's like how I feel is one thing,
but what people are seeing him as is another. I get
exactly. So that's what Blue, he'll tell you. Like he probably loves a guy, but then he heard from scouts like he wasted your time. So then you're like, okay, I got to drop him down my list because the league is saying he's not going to get drafted. So I can't have him high on my list. So I feel for Zay, but he's gonna get a shot, man. I mean, like we said, there are people that got drafted in the USFL that are not better than Zay. And Mark Evans not playing the USFL this year. Neither does Isaiah Land. So their spot's going to be open. And the first pick in the draft, isn't he going to be like a third round NFL draft pick, the offensive lineman from Michigan? Like,
Yeah, probably.
he's not. So it's going to be a bunch of open space. So there's nothing to worry about. Zay's going to get a shot.
And with Zay compared to Tank, the other issue is Zay didn't get the shot to go up against P5 corners at the Senior Bowl. And I mean, Tank went viral every single day in one-on-ones for cooking the top of the top P5 corners, regardless of size. I mean, there wasn't a DB that stopped him all week long, and I mean, was straight embarrassing them. And so, X doing it at the Legacy Bowl, as much as I love the Legacy Bowl, it's not the same in terms of the eyes of the scout. If you're cooking kids from Bama and LSU and everything, it's different than cooking the kid was from Fort Valley State that he dropped.
Yeah.
And one-on-ones, it doesn't hit the same for NFL scouts.
It doesn't. But that's also why I said just reworking the timing of that, just so we can make sure our guys can get some more opportunities. Because I'm shocked that they didn't get something. I am. I'm not gonna lie. But a lot of guys didn't get something, to be honest with you. But this is how the cookie crumbles. I mean, he's gonna get opportunity. He just has to be ready for it.
It's just crazy to me that the guy who got I think he's the only receiver that got 1,000 yards in the SWAC was not invited. How Dallas Daniels is invited over Xavier Smith in the East-West Shrine Bowl, I will never understand, because Dallas Daniels has a dropsy issue. And you can listen, I've watched him enough times. He's a great route runner. He's a great third down blanket. I think me and Blue said he's a better version of Keith Corbin. You know what I'm saying? When he first got there, better version of Keith Corbin. But he has the dropsies. He does. Like simple stuff. He has the dropsies. Not as bad as Shaq, but he has the dropsies. Xavier should have been at an East-West Shrine Bowl way before Dallas Daniels. Way before Dallas Daniels. That's just my personal opinion. But hey, man.
There's some major issues. I've talked to some of the people at least the Senior Bowl, and I'm sure coaches talked to the East-West Shrine Bowl. Mm-hmm. A lot of the invites are strictly based off of scout feedback. And so all it normally means if a player gets invited for another player is that their draft stock is a little bit higher at that point. And so you get guys who fall through the crack like X, like some other FCS guys who might not have the hype. So why do you invite someone who has no hype that the scouts aren't coming to see over a guy who's getting a little bit of buzz behind the scenes? I think that's a big flaw with how they pick players, but I don't see it changing anytime soon.
Xavier Smith at Jackson State gets invited to the East-West Shrine Bowl. Y'all can miss me with all the other stuff. It happens. Xavier,
well, I'm not saying he does it, but I'm saying like based on what he did at FAMU, he wasn't getting the same type of draft buzz as Dallas Daniels was at that time.
Swap him?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And he's at the East-West Shrine Bowl.
Imagine Kamari going to FAMU and you got X and Shareed, and then you got Kamari's big self out there with him too.
Yeah,
man, Rashawn McKay could have won the Walter Payton with that wide receiver core.
if he could make the throws.
I mean, Dallas is. I looked up the drop percentage. Yeah, I mean, Dallas was at 8 and Zay was at 4.
Okay, hang on. 4% is a lot in drop rate.
No. I mean, he only dropped 4% of his passes.
When a guy doubles that and he gets invited over you,
doubling it is kind of tough. That's a bad look.
It was more like a, how do I put it? Dallas can move around though. He could play.
That's true.
He could be an X. He could be.
Are we not watching the same film? Xavier has played X and he's played the slide.
Xavier Smith is, and I hate that Steve Smith was the one that found him, because now everybody's like, well, Steve Smith was 5'8". Stop. Steve Smith was a better blocker than most offensive linemen. Okay, Steve Smith was freakishly athletic. I mean,
I know at least a 40-inch vert, because
it's different, and he was a kick return punt return. So I just, like I said, that big. And I know Dallas wasn't a kick return punt return, but he was more versatile as a receiver per se. And guess what? At the East-West Shrine Bowl, Dallas is getting open a lot. So it wasn't like they didn't really pick a bad guy, because at the end of the day, he performed very well. But, I mean, we thought we thought we were gonna get land. I was like, dang, I thought we were gonna get land at the Shrine Bowl. That would have been so. I would have loved to see him in person at practice. But Dallas was a good pick because at the end of the day, Dallas is. I call him 3rd and 5. He's 3rd and 5. I trust him with 3rd and 5. I do.
That's what I told Scotty. Listen, that intermediate, I'm throwing it to Dallas Daniels every time.
Yo, that's his thing. Those in routes, he's not scared. He's there. He'll sit right in the zone. He knows where to sit in the zone. I'm not saying Zay can't. I will say that's what Dallas is better at Zay than. He's better than Zay at that. Finding holes in zones and sitting in the zone and knowing when to work back to your quarterback. He's better than Zay at that part. And the way the league is now, these quarterbacks run over the goddamn place anyway. So you need to really know how to find the hole in the zone.
Anthony Richardson is going to throw it like 10 gaps over, so it's all good.
He's going to try to throw it through your hands, man. Like the boy. Crazy.
You know, crazy part, DTR threw harder than him at the combine.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, there's throwing hard, and then there's like, how do I throw this in the game situation? You know what I'm saying? Like Anthony Richardson he's the person on Madden that just puts hold X for everything, like hold O, hold X. You know, you're like, bro, like a bullet pass every time. Can I get a lob? Can I get a touch? It's a bullet pass every single time. You're like, dang, like, can I get
instant rollout or a bullet pass? That's it. That's the only two options with him.
Dang. I mean, you gotta yeah. I feel y'all. I feel y'all everything. I know y'all. Everybody. I'm on the Zay. I feel y'all with Zay. I feel everybody was Zay. It was an uphill climb for him, sadly, because he wasn't a dynamic kicking punt returner. Sadly, all in all, to say that. But it is what it is.
Willie done willied it up again. I was just saying what it is. Saying like saying Willie done willied it up again for my man X. But you know, man, listen. Hey, Coach G, man, thank you so much, man. We appreciate the time. We definitely gonna have you back on for after the NFL draft. See if I'm right. Okay. About my man X.
Watch, someone's gonna reach on X in the first round, like that kid from Chattanooga last year. Scotty's going live immediately.
I'm putting all you Bama's on notice. If X gets drafted early, like 4th, 3rd round, I'll be like, I told y'all. I'm going crazy. I will go absolutely ballistic. But hey, Coach G, man, once again, appreciate you guys. Once again, the draft guide is in the chat. I'm gonna drop it again on me and Blue's channel. You can go support. $15. It won't break your pockets. 2 cups of coffee at Starbucks. It won't hurt you. All right. Support us. This is a for us by us draft guide. Once again, like I said earlier, if it was Todd McShay and Mel Kiper, it'd be $100 and it wouldn't be for your own players. All right. So it is what it is. But Coach G, thank you again, man, and we'll see you soon.
All right, no doubt.
All right, no problem. Hey, man, Blue, great, man. Listen. Great show, man. Listen, you know, it's nothing better than just talking football. You know what I'm saying? Like just really talking some football, really diving deep into this thing and what these players can do. What do you have to say about the overall landscape of HBCU football and what's coming up? Or FCS, you know, you're the guru, you flow through these things. So what you see coming up in this next couple of years?
I think this draft class will be good, HBCU wise, FCS wise. I think next year, man, all roads lead to 2024. Next year's draft class on both ends is just going to be ignorant. I mean, there's going to be some legit prospects that I think are going to be no brainers, and so I'm just ready to see what happens this year. I think, like G said, man, if you can get anywhere from 4 to 6 HBCU guys and anywhere from 22 to 27, 28 FCS guys, man, that's a hell of a year. Because next year, if the FCS ever expects to hit 30 plus again, it's gonna have to be 2024. Because I think it's that, and I think HBCU guys next year you can push the range to like 6 to 8 potentially. And so I think this year will be another year of setting the foundation for 2024, really, really changing the overall perspective of FCS HBCU football.
I like it. That's from the boy Wonder. That is from the boy Wonder. Blue, what you got coming up this week, man? Weekend. What you got coming up?
Man. So this weekend I'll be taking a little bit of vacation, man. But got an interview with Weber State head coach Mickey Mental coming down the pipeline. Also, big announcement. Your boy will be taking a columnist role for Hero Sports, doing FCS columns over there for BetMGM and Hero Sports. So that'll probably be starting in a week or so. So I'll let you guys know. Official announcement will come on Twitter, but wanted to drop it here. So catch to work at Hero Sports. Still got the site going. Still got the YouTube channel going. Still writing for Falls Wire if you're interested in that, man. So just staying busy on all fronts.
Oh, who ain't you writing for? That boy a mercenary. You like, need a writer? Come get your boy. You need a writer? Come get your boy. You know what I'm saying? But man, happy for you, Blue, man. You well deserved, man. Share your knowledge with the world, my guy. Keep doing what you're doing. Once again, people, I'm gonna do a show tomorrow, but girls need girls. I know there ain't many women on here, but girls need girls will be tomorrow at 7. All right. Key's headed to Michigan. She got training up in Michigan on Sunday, so she's gonna be traveling. So tomorrow, girls need girls will be tomorrow. I'll make that news in their broadcast. I'll be doing a show tomorrow, maybe about 1. I think the champion. No, it's not the championship tomorrow. Championship Saturday. So yeah, it should be good. So I'm gonna do a show about 1 to 2 o'clock. Hopefully, I won't be in the SWAC basketball arena. You know what I'm saying, and anything like that. But we'll see. I'll keep it fluid. But guys, listen, appreciate your time, man. Good way to get back to football. Get back on focus. Get back on track. That's what we do here on the Roundtable. Keep it 100% football all day, every day. All right. So listen, until next time, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to holler. God bless.